Welcome back to the semifinals of VTS Fall 2022. Looking a little bit smaller today, the desk. I was gone for a week and now I am back. I have fully consumed Becky and will now take over as the captain. Uh, it's your boy Kevbo here with Quinn on the analyst desk today. Quinn, how you doing?
Feeling pretty good. I stayed up until 7 o'clock in the morning trying to solve a Cassante problem. So that was fun. I'm very lost in the sauce on my research right now. But gotten out of that mindset. I'm now focused on the actual VTS games. I'm very excited for them. I'm having an overall good day.
That's good. Sometimes you sacrifice your time for things that don't even matter yet for us plebs that don't have a PBE account. But anyways, we're in for an absolute banger series here in our semifinals, a rehashing of last split's finals between Shining Light Knights, who I believe have rebranded to what they are now, and Glacial Esports Black coming through. Should be a very fun, interesting series.
Yeah, we've got a really good narrative coming into this. We have two very aggressive teams from opposite sides of the group, both 3-0ing their last series in the quarterfinals, both having met each other in finals last split. Both renowned for just trading kills very recklessly. We had like kind of the mean spirited ish like Popeng giveth, Popeng taketh away narrative for Glacial Esports Black a few weeks ago. And just last week on the broadcast, we heard in an interview that Shining Light Knights they view the game from the stance of I'm just going to fight you, and if I die, whatever, because my teammates are also fighting you, and they're not being pressured, so we're winning. um, I'm expecting a lot of kills. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Bloody best of fives is always, I think, the best way to go. I mean, especially for broadcast, sometimes best fives get really long. So having a few quick 20-minute bangers back and forth is always, I think, a little bit more hype than, let's play five 40-minute games and do nothing for the first 20 minutes. So let's hope, bated breath. A lot of things could happen. A lot of different picks could come out, of course. Um, Patch did just happen. So there are a couple things that we could maybe hit on just a little bit.
Uh,
Quinn?
yeah, sure. So this was a generally minor patch on the champion change front, right? A lot of very very small changes that shouldn't have like major impact. Probably the biggest one that I would look at is Maokai. Not because Maokai is going to be any less useful in the grand scheme of things, but because Saf magic changes tend to weaken top lane Maokai a little bit, so it's possible that he loses some of his flex potential as we find it more difficult to gain value from Maokai with Econ, right? I mean, there's a few little things like Sets. Oh, poor Sets. What did he do to deserve this? Like, it's not like that champion was giga overperforming. Now his regen is quite a bit worse for early lane, and early lane is a major reason to pick the champion, right? We've got some Wukong damage up, quite a lot of damage up, but it doesn't address any clear speed concerns or lane health concerns, right? Gwen getting some damage, which is nice, but again, I doubt it's creating more viable matchups for her. And that champion does, in her current state, need time to scale. You and I were talking about Blitzcrank a little bit. They're very, very adamant on making his clear fast. Like, it looked like such a small change in the patch notes until you realize it's like plus 20 on hit at level 2, plus like 35 something ish at level 3. Like that, the monster damage scales very rapidly. Like, they really want to push Blitzcrank jungle as a real thing. And frankly, it's still got its invade weaknesses, but if it gets fast enough at a certain point, it's like kind of like Fiddlesticks and just dodges those invades through smart pathing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it already was, I think, pretty decent.
mhm.
Can kind of just, I mean, you take Blue and Grump, like, I don't know, minute. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just with the damage. And then, of course, if you're running it right, you're going to get bombies early anyways. So that definitely helps with the clear speed. But, you know, I don't expect that to come out in VTS. And if it does, well, something will have to happen. We'll have to come up with consequences if Blitzcrank Jungle does get picked. But for now, I think it's important that we focus on the match at hand. Both teams, like you said, are coming off a 3-0 against their opponents, which is kind of surprising, especially given SLK was up against, I think, the best team from Group A.
Yep, they were facing ISU last night, who was Group A's first seed, who was near undefeated. I think they did drop one series over the course of their split, if I remember correctly. So we definitely weren't expecting a blowout, although there were talks going into this series about is Group A weaker than Group B? Does Group B's like closeness in standings indicate a more competitive group? And in the context of that series, it looked like the answer was a resounding yes, right? Which has very interesting implications for the Group A Glacial Esports Black coming into this, also fresh off a 3-0, also looking hot, also known to have gone toe-to-toe with SLK in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the narrative we're going with. Is Group A still weaker, even in the context of what looks to be a more aggressive team? Was Glacial Esports' regular season kind of a fluke? Are they hitting their stride again now? Which team is better at playing like kind of this skirmish aggro style? Which SLK, like honestly, like watching last week's series, SLK genuinely taught me about like a new style of team comp, like the skirmish aggro, the team comp where you're trying to force almost a fiesta state just by having champions who are good at fighting 24/7 and who benefit more from trading gold back and forth, because even though they're like decently strong at skirmishing early, they also have excellent scaling. They also benefit from having gold. Right? So who's better at playing that? Glacial Esports like to play around their jungler. SLK like to play around anyone who can fight. Like, those are kind of the lines we're watching for tonight. Right?
Yeah, definitely exciting stuff. I think the big question we have ahead of this, Quinn, is Popeng going to give it? Is Popeng going to take it away?
Before I answer this, it's important to remember that this narrative like came from the fact that Popeng is just the X factor for Glacial Esports, right? Popeng is like indicative of how Glacial plays. Like if they're coordinated, Popeng looks amazing. If they're not coordinated, Popeng looks like they're just straight up feeding, right? I think given the context of the hot streak, it's going to look like both, right? I really think it's going to look like both. I think everyone is going to die a lot if all of these teams like to skirmish. So maybe we get to continue our funny little joke, right?
Well, I think that is a good jumping off point to ask the question though. Who do you think is going to win this series?
I think when the pressure is on in VTS, every individual player needs to be ready to step up, right? Anybody can be the X factor. Anybody can abruptly swing a game, especially when we're anticipating high tempo games. So with that in mind, with the Group B conversation in mind, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 3-2. I think they're going to be very exciting games, but I think ultimately SLK is going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely history to back that up. Of course, they were the team that won last splits. And on top of that, they just came off a win against what you're assuming is the strongest team in Group A. So how hard can it be to beat someone that wasn't as good as them in the regular season? We'll have to see. I think, a little bit more confidence in them. I'm going to predict it 3-1 SOK. But like you said, should be an absolute banger series. As we are still, I think, waiting just a little bit for players to get now into the lobby. They're running a little bit behind.
Yeah, we have most players in the lobby, but I'm still stuck like on one of their teams. Apparently, I'm representing Glacial right now, trying to get into the spectator slot. Most people are here by the looks of it. Might be -1 player, so we can stall for a little more time.
Yeah, and it I think gives us an opportunity to talk about the other side of the bracket as well, right? So the other side of the bracket, Coconut Kissers 3-0'd Nameless Goobers, Diversity Esports 3-1 Glaive Emerald. So they'll be playing, I believe, tonight at 8. I don't know if that game is being streamed elsewhere or not. But down to our last 4: Coconut Kissers, the first seed out of Group B, and Diversity Esports, the second seed out of Group A. So while we are having this discussion about whether Group A or Group B is stronger, we do still have an even amount of members of both teams. So, you know, could go either way. I do expect, I think, like we said, both of us are predicting SLK. In this game, Diversity has also looked very strong, but so has Coconut Kissers. Surprisingly, given their ranking, ended up first in Group B. So exciting stuff from them. Any guesses about how that series will go? I know we didn't get really too much time to prep for that other side of the bracket.
Yeah, and it's difficult to say because we didn't see as much of these teams throughout the season. Or if we did, information in, information out. It's been a while. It is genuinely shocking to me that 3 out of our 4 quarterfinals were 3-0s.
Yeah.
Like, just looking back at that now that you mention it. So let's do the most lazy surface level analysis possible. Kiss 3-0'd. Diversity didn't. Therefore, in semifinals B, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it should be interesting. Goobers are a team that we got to see multiple times, and they looked very strong. I think they won the series that we streamed them. I'm not 100% sure on that. But either way, Morbius on DVD, I mean, you changed your name, and that's why you lost. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. But Coconut Kissers also, I think, probably one of my favorite teams in VTS, simply because of the name. So absolute bangers. I expect that series to be, I think, probably more contested than this one even. If I remember, both these teams like to play more towards that mid game, whereas these teams play more like that early game, skirmish heavy, like we've been talking about. So I expect, I think Kiss as well. I just want to predict them mostly because having interacted with their players a couple times, and the fact that their name is Coconut Kissers, like I think they're just a fan favorite team. It's like the Ducks in VRD, right? It doesn't matter whether they're good or bad, you still root for the Ducks. So
look, for for all of our players, for everyone in Twitch chat, there's a very easy way to win over the analyst desk, right? If we haven't spent time like learning about your team, we know nothing about you, have a funnier logo and we'll vote for you. It's that simple. Right.
That is very true. And I see you in Twitch chat saying no love for Diversity. I had no prep going into the beginning of the season. You know which team I randomly selected to win it all? Diversity. And they're showing up and they're proving me right.
Wait, didn't we have that bet where it's like it's like something bad happens to you and I have no consequences if Diversity doesn't win, right?
I don't remember.
There's something like that. We have to go back and watch the VOD.
We have to go back. I know that in the first week of VTS podcast, me and Moose made a bet that whoever that if CBM won the group, then I would dye my hair.
That's it. And then there's no consequences for anybody else, right?
Yeah. Well, I think he said he'd take the other side of it. I don't expect Moose to dye his hair. It was the first week. It was absolutely troll. That'd be like saying that Dignitas is gonna win the split after winning week 1. Don't expect anything.
All right. Well, we've been given a spec link for the drafts. The teams seem to be lined up. We do have I believe that's Glacial who's selected red side. Yes, okay. So
Very
it
interesting.
looks like it is just about time for us to take our leave. We've made our predictions. We're prepping the casters.
And it looks like we are actually ready to go ahead
Yep.
and throw it over to Moose and TDS. Interesting selection on the red side instead of the blue. Definitely more popular at the moment, but you'll have to see how this first game goes. Best of 5 series between Glacial Esports Black and Shining Lights heading your way right now. Moose and TDS, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Analyst Desk, and everybody, welcome to the semifinals of Victoris Triumph Series. My name is Moose. I'm joined here, as always, with TDS, and then we've got Dan from Discord as our producer, all of that fun stuff here today. Draft for game number 1 is just about to begin. Shining Light Knights versus Glacial Esports Black, a return to the Summer 2022 series. TDS, how are you?
Fine, but somebody told me that I have echo, so I'm not sure anymore. If there's echo, I'm sorry for that. I'll be sure to figure it out later, but I'm great. I'm excited. I'm ready for semifinals. It's always amazing, and hopefully we don't have another 3-0.
Yeah, well, SLK has indicated that they think that they're just going to be able to 3-0 everybody. They might 3-1 in grand finals, but their confidence is definitely there, and their dominance over ISU, the top-rated team in the opposite side of the group stage, was a 3-0, and it was definitely very dominant from them. A couple of shaky points in games 2 and 3, but overall they delivered, and they were able to take a dominant 3-0 series there. They, of course, they were in the interview last week. They expect and they have the confidence they're going to be able to do it again. But Glacial Esports Black is a strong team. They made it to grand finals last split, and they are on the warpath to try to make it happen again. So really interested to see if that is going to be the case, if we are going to get a repeat of our grand finals last year. Remember, SLK dominated that grand finals, played exceedingly well. So very curious to see whether or not we're going to get that again. My question to you, this is our second week of SLK. We got to see how powerful the top lane pick was in all 3 of those games, whether it was the Urgot or the Mundo. Do you think that they're bannable here?
I feel like the Urgot much more so than the Mundo, because playing with red side allows you to counter these sort of champions much better, so it's not completely unplayable. I think the Urgot is much more bannable because it's something that you don't typically see in solo queue, or something that you don't typically fight unless you're going straight up against an Urgot main. So I feel like it's much more hard, or much harder, to try and find solutions to it if you don't have a lot of experience. I think that Mundo is much more straightforward. You can counter it much better. I think that Glacial does have avenues to try and find something to go for that.
Fair enough. And as we take a look at the bans, we've got the Aatrox, the Kindred getting taken away from Glacial Esports. The Caitlyn, Yuumi are getting banned out as well. So a lot of those really strong picks that we've seen just in this season, or the later part of season 12. And then the Kindred, of course, going to be taken away because that is a comfort pick in the jungle. So looking to see, the top lane pick is most likely going to be relatively safe for 67 there in the top side of the rift. But the bottom side, we got to see just a lot of the power of both bottom lanes throughout the entirety of the VTS, going to be very open still. Caitlyn is banned away. That is probably, I don't want to say the top pick in the ADC role, but is, I would say, in the top 3 right now, just by how consistent you can be with the champion. And then Yuumi is just the annoying pest that she is, not going to be available there. Surprisingly, though, no mid lane bans. None against number 2 Ginger, who played very consistent on the Zed, on the Yasuo in game, or in the first part of the quarterfinals, and Gragas immediately picked in the B1 for SLK.
I think one of the main issues with banning away mid lane champions, particularly at this spot, is that with players that can play multiple champions, unless there's something that straight up scares you, it just feels better to try and live it up and see how you can play around it. Because if you can try and shrink the pool of other players that haven't shown that versatility, can make you feel a little bit better. With the Gragas first pick, I think something that we've seen recently taking much more priority, the Gragas as a flex potential, not necessarily straight up in the top lane, but as a flex to play around with the team quite great, and you have the disengage and engage potential can be quite good. Lucian Nami feels like a pretty straightforward pick in the bot lane that tries to gain control, and it's something that I've noticed players and teams doing now much more consistently, because with what you were bringing up with the Caitlyn, one thing that Caitlyn brings is almost always domination in the bot lane. And with having domination, you get control of the map, first move to certain places, and it allows to provide for your other laners if you really want to play away from bot lane as well. So it's a pretty good idea to try and have a bot lane that can control quite a bit. Aphelios is straightforward, but it's a hover, but maybe.
It's a hover. I don't believe it until I see it. When we're talking about SLK, they just pick random stuff
True.
until they have to lock in. And it is going to be the Aphelios Lulu that will be the pickup here. So it is going to be Enchanter versus Enchanter. Lucian, of course, is going to spike a lot earlier, but has the worry of falling off the longer that the game goes on. Aphelios, of course, with the power that Aphelios provides in the later stages of the game, is going to really love the fact that they've got the Lulu to be able to back him up, to be able to give him those extra enchantments going in, to get that maybe a little bit more movement speed for the Gragas than whatever type of other engage composition you want to go for. The Shurelius from the Lulu is also going to be really good there. But we saw last week the power of the early game roams the early game ganks from the Gragas going in for some very interesting pathing here. Lucian Nami does have enough protection and a lot of mobility just with the Nami passive and the Relentless Pursuit to be able to potentially get away from those early game bottom side ganks. Viego, however, going to have a little bit of mobility in and of itself with that Heartbreaker, but could be susceptible to some early game shenanigans before level 6.
And that's why it's imperative now for Glacial to have much more control on their laners. We already know that Lucian Nami can gain control, but it's also not straight up given to them because Aphelios Zulu can compete. On the mid lane, they need someone to win the pressure in the lane, to win the push, and then depending on how effectively you want to play in topside, you can try and leave the counter pick so that you can have some sort of control as well there. But the Viego needs to have leeways so that he doesn't get consistently attacked inside of the jungle, or he doesn't just lose out in pressure over the map because the Gragas can just consistently gank better. And that's something that I feel Glacial needs to try and put attention to. But as we see in this second round of bans, you can see 3 mid lane bans, so they were clearly hearing you out, Moose. They were hearing that they must be careful about certain champions. There's still a pretty big pool open for both mid laners, so it's fine. But the Urgot, they decide that they don't want to play against that, and I respect that.
Definitely, we saw the power of the Urgot in the previous series against ISU. We've seen just Urgot in general from SLK play very, very well as one of those comfort picks. The Yone as well for number 2 Ginger in the mid lane, playing just so aggressively, but also being able to get out of very sticky situations that not a lot of other players might not be able to do. So SLK is banning out some of the priority mid lane pickups like the Ahri and the Syndra. There might have been an expectation that the Zed might be locked in here because you've got the Lissandra that's now going to be locked in. High mobility, high protection, and even some lockdown with that Frozen Tomb. So I'm very curious to see now what SLK wants to pick in the mid lane. Are we going to see another AD pickup here for number 2 Ginger? Are we going to get something that's a little bit more traditional? The Victor is hovered and the Victor is locked in. So you're going to get a Victor Lissandra mid lane play here. And now we get the opportunity to see what the top lane is going to be. The Gragas can always flex into that. Now we have to decide what is going to go up against the Viego. Is it going to be the Gragas or is it going to be this B5 pick?
I honestly think this could be an Olaf game, if I'm honest. Like this feels like a good Olaf game with the amount of CC that there is, and with how squishy the backline may end up being, you can try and force yourself there. Zac as well could be a thing, but they're opting potentially for the Mundo that we saw in the previous series. It executed really nicely. You don't know who you're going against, but there's still some sort of playing that you can go for. It's going to be potentially Olaf on the other side, so maybe they were hearing me. But quickly to touch on the mid lane, it's going to be a pushing battle. I feel like the idea of the Lissandra as a blind, not only thinking about the potential assassin mid laners that could have come through, it's also having the pushing power in the mid lane, something that we talked about to allow for this Viego. And the Victoris to try and contest that, to try and go even in that idea, and then be able to not allow the Lissandra to have as much freedom as possible. It's still a risky matchup for the Victor in my eyes because of the cleanse reliability.
Yeah, I want to like point that out. We talked about it in the analyst desk, or the analyst desk talked about it last week, and then they talked about it again. How SLK last week against ISU played a lot of skirmishing and a lot of wanting to get those early kills and make it a bloodbath style game. Lucian, Nami, and Lissandra, they're going to be able to get priority in those lanes and make it very difficult for any sort of roam for the Victor or from the Aphelios Lulu to happen in those early stages. So it does give a little bit more freedom for the jungle to be more in their control, to make it more difficult and a lot riskier for SLK to try to go in for those early 4v4s, those early 3v3s that we had in last week's games. So Glacial Esports definitely trying to play to a more early game strength oriented build. They do have a little bit more late game insurance with the Lissandra, even the Viego and the Ornn. Viego can just take the soul of an Aphelios or a Victor that he's able to pick up, even a Gragas, for
you pretty
example.
Much have it at that point.
To be able to get some of that late game power that they were looking for. So the resets are going to be very important here. The early game, I think, is going to be a little bit slower for SLK. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a hindrance for them because we've seen them play different compositions in summer 2022 that worked out very well to go into that late game. And we've also seen them snowball the early game very, very well. So it's really up to Glacial Esports Black to show us how much they've learned from last season. If they can take a win off of SLK, that is a win. If they can take the series off of SLK, it would be a huge victory for them to show that they have improved as a team and they are potentially the front runner moving into the grand finals. But as we move into this first game, I really couldn't tell you who I prefer in terms of draft.
So I think that I'm going to lean towards SLK because I feel like their comp fit them quite nicely with having a lot of potential carry power with their Aphelios and Victor as well, knowing that those are two of their best players in number 2 Ginger and on Loki Dozy. I don't know why I'm blanking so much on names, but yeah, on their two carries, they can really play effectively. And then particularly giving initiation tools to their jungler is something that I really, really like. Because it's a player that always, when he has the tools, can pull off a play that will immediately turn into something favorable for SLK. We saw that last week. We saw that in the previous split as well. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to be something that it's perfectly comfortable for SLK, and I think that they are going to be able to execute on. On Glacial Esports side, I feel like they have the tools, obviously, but I'm just kind of scared for the Viego because one lane goes wrong and the Viego kind of may end up disappearing completely. And that's something that you have to be really, really careful about.
Fair enough. That's a good point. That's a good point, for sure. As we get ourselves ready to jump into the game, we are just about to get into the spectator delay very shortly here. A couple of quick announcements as Victoris does end the fall 2022 split. You guys have the opportunity to sign up and get yourself involved in the next split, winter 2023. It's going to be a ton of fun. You definitely do not want to miss the action that Victoris brings to the table, not only with League of Legends, but also with Valorant. So if you guys have not done so already, join the Discord to stay up to date on all of the registration and all of the content that is coming in for the next split. You guys will definitely not want to miss that because I know you guys all love to play. You guys all want to win. It would definitely be a ton of fun to see you guys there and give us the opportunity to cast for your guys' phenomenal performances in the next split. So check it out if you guys have not done so already. And of course, we are moving into the semifinals here of the VTS, which means next week is the grand finals. We would love to get the most presents possible for this grand finals match as we get to give away some money. If you guys are, available, if you guys have your friends that are available, come join us. We're cool. I might even have my hair dyed a different color because I got to be setting up for
True.
Halloween. Who knows? You might get to see my fun hair color. I don't know.
Can I
Anything is
recommend
possible.
orange?
Orange. Hey,
Yeah,
don't
I
spoil
think
it.
orange would be okay.
Don't spoil it. But no, yeah, definitely check out Grand Finals next week. I don't know if it's going to be at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. depending on team scheduling and all of that fun stuff, but it will definitely be next week, so you definitely will not want to miss it. Before we get into that quick break, though, TDS, I got to ask you once again the Dragon Soul and Rift for Game 1.
I want Cloud. I think it's been raining too much on my side of the world, on my country, so I'm going for Cloud today.
Going for Cloud. I gotta tell you, this week is the last week that we're gonna get 80-degree weather here in Vegas. I'm very sad. Like I'm looking at my weather. I was looking at my weather today. It's 85 today. It's 83 tomorrow, and then it's gonna be 65 on Sunday. So I'm gonna go with Infernal, so that maybe we get to keep that warmer weather just a little while longer. We'll see if the dragon shows up and we get 2 more weeks of summer. Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into Game 1 between SLK and Glacial Esports Black. This is the semifinals of the VTS. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Victoris Triumph Series. My name is Moose. I'm joined here today by TDS and, of course, Dan from Discord in the production side of things. Well, we got you guys here, and we are starting off the match. Can we get some get well soons for Gurf? He has had a not fun time with COVID. It's been pretty awful. and I hope that he is
Minions have
quick
spawned.
to a recovery, or quicker to a recovery, because it's been like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while already.
Yeah,
Sadly.
poor guy.
But it's fine. We're still here, and we're hopeful that he will come back for the grand finals next week. But for now, we're holding the fort, and we're pretty sure that it's going to be a great game.
Oh, 100%. You know, SLK, Glacial Esports, two of the top teams in the VTS, just in Victoris in general. I mean, two of the most prominent Diamond Master teams that there are in League of Legends right now. They are, you know, two that you guys should be recognized if you guys are, you know, following the scene and everything that comes with them. They have had multiple games against each other. They always bring out the best out of each other, and they also do their best to win. So I think we're going to see a much different side of SLK. There's going to be no shenanigans. Well, there might be shenanigans, but it's going to be more focused shenanigans as we get ourselves through this first game. Looking at both sides of the jungler stuff, Learning Brain and Popeng, they both went for a top side clear. They are both looking to avoid some of their jungle camps, so they're going to get to the bottom side of the rift a lot quicker.
Interestingly, opting for different sides of the map. I really like that ward. We actually didn't talk much about the division that they got, but that ward was in such a perfect spot, and already knowing where Popeng is going, it's so useful to try and play around with.
And very smart already. Learning Brain will not be able to bamboozle Silva and Sly Lego. They were able to get that red buff ward, but Learning Brain is going to be able to go around the ward maybe, and they are looking to try to make this happen. Can Learning Brain get the jump on Silva and Sly Lego? It looks like they're going to be able to. Let's see if the body slam hits. A Sly Lego going to be the one going to be targeted, going to get stunned. The flash wasn't quick enough. Silva will survive, but it's first blood. Phoenix main and SLK. Learning Brain gonna get hit by the Spectrum Wall, gonna get stunned, and they're looking to go in. Exhaust is gonna land on the Loki Dose, but the cleanse is coming through. Silva with no flash will die, and SLK is gonna get the first 2 kills of the game, and maybe even looking to go for more. That's gonna be a knock-up on Popeng, who's very low for the double kill.
I was expecting the Q, not the flash, but it's all the same at the end. 3 kills for SLK, and it's such a good play overall. This is the play that we saw last week as well from Learning Brain. Great setup, great timing, great spot, gets the first blood, and he waited so long for the body slam. It was so well executed, and at the end, when you get that kill, it's what matters. And sure, I think it should be fine.
Oh, the flash forward!
That is time!
We're not able to get out. Learning Brain setting up 4 kills in the first 3.5 minutes.
And look at this replay, right? Waits till the last second, gets the body slam onto Slide Lego. I honestly don't know why Phoenix main flashes in, but okay, you get the first kill. Here, it was looking like maybe a turnaround, but they don't have enough damage yet. The Gragas was full health, and then the cleanse to the flash, to the exhaust, great timing to deny the damage. It's just working out perfectly for SLK. Already, we're 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes in, and I think I would be saying that Learning Brain should be the MVP so far. So well done.
I mean, yeah, you can't deny the execution and production that Learning Brain has been able to build up with this Gragas already as the Gravitum Root does land onto Silva. Not only has he been able to pick up 4 kills, but because of this, he has been able to expend not 1, not 2, but 6 summoner spells in that span of time against his opponent. Learning Brain could be able to get away from Kaidazor, who utilized the Glacial Path. Number 2, Ginger, maybe looking to go for something here as Popeng. He's seen out as well. That 2v2 they do not want. They'll back away.
Not enough mana to be able to force it, although.
Better genetics coming in from the bottoms, or from the from GEB side of the rift. Popeng is taking a ton of damage, and better genetics is going to bamboozle not just the players, but me as well. I did not see him coming. He'll be able to pick up Popeng. That's his second death of the game.
And that's the thing here in this play. It's
my god, not done yet. Scrub's gonna be in trouble, gonna be forced to flash away. Better genetics gonna land another cleaver, as he's going to be taking a little bit of damage here.
Oh, what?
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Loki Doji is going to be able to take down Silva in now a 2v1. Now 2-for-1 Phoenix main. is going to make it a 2-for-1 in the bottom lane. SLK now up 6 kills against GEB.
The analyst desk talked about this, and we knew about this. It was going to be a bloodbath. It was going to be fought out, and it's so far delivering on that. We're going towards the later part of the play, but it's important to note that they forced this play because the Victor didn't have the mana to play around this. But there is no mana on the Mundo, so he can just join the fight and actually do damage here. They have the engage once again. They have the health bars. Great stopwatch timing. I hate that item so much, but it's so useful for these situations. They don't get the kills immediately here, but in the bot side, we do see that they are trading so hard to try and get the kill going, and this beneficiates the side of SLK so much more, because that huge wave is getting lost, or got lost.
Yeah, 37-35 in terms of CS, but it's 3-1-2 versus an 0-2-1 Lucian. And when it's a Lucian Nami that's behind the 8-ball in the early stages of the game, it means that their power spike is going to come later, and their time in the sun is going to be far less. It's going to be very difficult now for GEB to be able to come back from this, but they can still come back from it. Frozen Tomb is going to come through, but number 2, Ginger, with the cleanse out of the unsealed spellbook, will be able to avoid a certain death.
I think he even had the, what is it called, the ghost, thanks to the unsealed spellbook. Ooh, Learning Brain.
Hey, Learning Brain coming through. Sly Lego has no way of escaping. Loki Dosu will take another easy kill.
Again, another good gank coming in from Learning Brain, giving the kill to Loki Dosi. That's what you love to see if you're an AD carry, right? Give your kills to your AD so that he can carry out. And this lane is becoming harder and harder for the Lucian Nami. They are getting so heavily attacked, and it's going to turn hard. You're already talking about the power spike, that it's going to get longer to get to that point. It's now even longer thanks to that kill.
Yeah, it's really difficult now. 13 CS advantage for Loki Dosi, which you don't want to see as a Lucian. The Aphelios should be in a tough spot in the early stages of the game because of the way that the kit is designed to be. But instead of that being the case, you've got Loki Dosi with both summoner spells up. You've got Phoenix Main with both summoner spells up. Sly Lego, no ignite, no flash, means that you're going to just be even more susceptible to ganks and more deaths if you're not careful, which makes Silva more hesitant to try to go forward. It even makes this dragon somewhat difficult. Well, it looks like SLK is not going to be contesting it. It means that Glacial Esports Black are, very hesitant about trying to go for any of these early objectives.
It ends up working out as timing for GEB because they are able to secure this first dragon, but certainly the dragon feels like such a small price compared to how the game is in this spot right now. Now, I wasn't able to catch what the second dragon was going to be, but I think we're both still in it, right? No, I'm out.
No. It is not going to be a Cloud Rift here. Second chance points, though, TDS?
This is going to be a fun dragon. Let's go Hextech.
Let's go Hextech, too. Considering SLK wanting to just be done with this game, if you get a Hextech Drake to just accelerate it even further, it would make it sense. As we get ourselves into the 9.5-minute mark, it feels like this game is already just so accelerated in favor of SLK. Rift Herald unlocked for Learning Brain. They're going to escort this minion wave, but they decided not to go for it as Katazor is going to flash forward. It's going to be a lot of damage onto Learning Brain. He's going to be forced to flash, will not be able to survive. That's going to be the reset for Poping. He's going to get the body slam out of number 2 Ginger. He does still have flash. He's looking to try to be able to get away. We got Katazor on the way. You've also got another knockup from the body slam. And Popeng is going to be able to pick up another assist. That's Katazor with their first kill.
That was super aggressive from the side of GEB, but it pays off because that kill onto the Learning Brain, particularly going into the pockets of Popeng, I think it's a pretty ideal situation for them because Popeng was already kind of getting left behind, so getting this kill is really great. We see how the action happened. They were planning to put out the Rift Herald, and I think that third shot really helped them to interrupt that at all. But great engage, great initiation, forceful onto the Gragas, even with flash away, it can't help. And even though number 2 Ginger has flash here, he cannot flash away ever because they know that as soon as the flash comes out, the Diego follows out with the ultimate. So it's too easy.
Very nicely done from Glacial Esports Black, and something that we want to see from a top-tier team.
Yeah.
Despite getting behind in the earlier stages of the game, they have not let up the assault, and they have found a rebound and a way back into this. It's still a 3,500 gold lead for SLK. That is still a substantial amount at the 11-minute mark, but they have a chance to be able to get out of it as Learning Brain trying to go in. They did not see him.
Oh, he didn't.
Body-Sun does not land, and he does not have his explosive cast. They'll drop the Rip Tails on the bottom side of the Rip, as Better Genetics is now looking to be able to avoid the 2v1 gank. All the Forge God will be used in exchange for not, I guess, the Ghost from Better Genetics, but at the end of the day, it means that Rift Herald is going to land in the bottom side of the Rift, and the first turret is going to go down at 11.5 minutes.
And it's more gold to this Aphelios that will be able to carry it later on. And they stop this last push. They can. Even with the tidal wave. This is risky. Oh.
The Graviton root did land, but it looks like Sly Lego will be able to get out of it. And so instead, Learning Brain and the rest of SLK will try to take something on their way out, and that will be the Gromp. Ginger is also pushed a little forward, dropping some wards out into the GEB jungle. Everyone will get away.
Nothing match out of that play, so really nice for SLK because they don't lose anything and they actually get the turret, and they are able to even get some small vision inside of the enemy jungle. Obviously not in the best of spots, but it's in some parts that you can catch out certain members, and any sort of information will always turn into something positive if you're able to use it accordingly, right?
As we take a look at, the information that we know right now, SLK, the teams don't know it, of course, but SLK probably realized that they are at a very good spot to just escalate this game into an uncontrollable state for Glacial Esports Black. They know that Loki Dosi is so far ahead of Silva on this Lucian. Gale Force unlocked, Berserker Greaves unlocked. Comparatively, Silva doesn't even have his Kraken Slayer completed yet. He's behind by 20 CS. And it means in a 1v1, Loki Dosi is going to be able to win that out. And even in a skirmish, Loki Dosi is going to be far more impactful here. And is going to have the protection not only of the Gale Force, but of Phoenix main, who is close to being able to pick up their Shirelias. Graven's going to land the root onto Popeng, but all that is just a little bit of harassment and acknowledgement.
Can we look at
junglers
bot?
On the top side of the Rift.
Yeah, I wanted to look at bot. What is happening down there?
I don't know, Better Genetics. We've seen him get these 1v1 kills before, but he is definitely playing a little bit of fire here. Maximum dosage will get unlocked. He's going to take a little bit of damage from the turret, taking a little bit of damage from the culling. But he will be able to get away as Loki Dosi is going to come through. The explosive cast is going to drop, and now Scrug is going to be using the Call of the Forge God, Learning Brain, to go golden to be able to survive. That's going to be Scrug without flash and without ultimate. Loki Dosi can be able to pick up another turret before they drop.
If that turned into a kill, that would have been such an amazing outplay coming in from SLK, because everything would have turned perfect. It would have been perfectly timed for it to work out. Still, like you're pointing out, turret for Loki Dosi plus plate before they fell down. Yes, you get the dragon. It's an ocean. I'm still wrong, but this is the best rate that sometimes you won when you won longer fights. And for both SLK and GEB, when you have this sort of champions that won longer fights, then it can work out quite nicely to have this ocean soul.
Yeah, and I want to point out again, the play here from Learning Brain in terms of their itemization. Every time that we've seen him play Gragas in the postseason, it has been that first pickup of the Zhonya's Hourglass with a Predator Ionian Boots of Lucidity. See if this gank means anything here, as the Spectral Maw does not land. Better Genetics doesn't have maximum dosage, but he will pop Ghost to be able to get away. There are 4 members of Glacial Esports on the bottom side of the Rift, and that is going to be acknowledgement for SLK to try to push forward towards the mid lane. They might even be able to get a tower out of this.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea, to try and get the turret as down as soon as possible. They have the control, they have the vision. Kinda sure it may end up committing, which is scary, but they have so much damage. Oh,
Learning Brain's gonna go through, gonna drop the explosive cap. Popeng gets still a ton of damage.
He doesn't die?
Tidal wave though from Sly Lego trying to be able to escape. Loki knows he's gonna use that Caliburn shot to pick up Nami. And now we've got Phoenix Mate trying to find out where Poping is at. Maybe looking to be able to pick up a kill. That is a level 9 Diego versus a level
Come
8
on, Lulu, we
Lulu.
believe in you.
Who wins this one? I don't know. Phoenix Mate is going to try to take as much time as possible away from Poping. Poping will definitely win out in this fight. Pardon me. I don't know why I ever doubted it, but Poping might actually die here. As number 2 Ginger will be taken out by Kaida Zor in the mid lane. Staying a little bit too long. Burning Brain and Loki Dosi are going to try to run out of this one. I don't know if they're going to be able to get anything. As we do get to see the Gravinum land on the Kaida Zor, they will be able to walk out, and Poping will be able to get away as well.
Exactly, Poping survives. Meanwhile, number 2 Ginger ends up dying. I think we do have a replay because I want to say it a little bit because there were so many things happening. We're at the end part of here, but Loki Dosi almost solo kills Lissandra in the mid lane. That forced out her immediately. But the rest of the fight, it was so scattered, it's surprising that only the Nami ends up falling over at the start, because in reality, there should have been much more kills. But great by GEB, not only for Poping surviving, but also because the Lissandra is able to trade back. As we can see inside of the minimap, quickly, while we're watching the other kills, they were already teleporting, forcing the play onto the members that were so far into the mid lane, and that is why at the end, number 2 Ginger dies. But it's such a good play by them.
And being able to get some more kills onto this Lissandra. Leandri's Anguish is unlocked. He's also got 5 stacks on that Dark Seal as well. So Glacial Esports Black has weathered the early game storm. They do have a massive gold disadvantage, which seems to be the strategy here for SOK, is they just want to create the biggest gold difference as possible. They don't really care about the neutral, the dragon objectives. They want to get towers down. They want to get map control, and they want to keep that gold lead. They don't really need to go for dragons, and maybe they're looking to go for a 20-minute Baron here.
It's an interesting call. Like, I feel like could work out, but at the same time, I can also see it being completely bad because it's still kind of early. Like, even 20 minutes is early to force a play unless you're 10, well, 10 is a little bit too much. Unless you're 8,000 gold ahead, which is almost what they are actually. So maybe I'm just not sure. Maybe I'm scared of nothing.
I don't, well, you know, it's okay to be afraid. Just don't be afraid of being afraid, I guess, or something. I don't know.
See, if they had a Kai'Sa, I would be more convinced because Kai'Sa shreds objectives like if they are better, or I think that works. Yeah, that.
Yeah, melts them like butter.
Yeah, I think that works better.
Yeah, that's the one that I know. But Loki Dosi can also shred Baron Nashor with the right guns. Red white gun, which he has right now. If he's able to get red white gun again in the next 90 seconds, they might be able to go for that Baron. But Poping is going to be able to catch out number 2 Ginger. As we do get the gravity wall dropping, Ginger does not have flash. He's going to drop a good pick for Glacial Esports.
No flash, no Sunjaz either, so it's not like he could escape easily out of that play. Great timing by Poping to find that sort of kill, and it's on this fix that GV can find themselves back into this game consistently. Loki Dosi is a monster, but alone and enough members on the other side, you can try and make the play work out.
Okay, the eye of the Herald will be dropped, as it is going to be the tower going down in the mid lane, and also Better Genetics 67 going to be able to pick up the bottom tier 2 tower. So that's going to be another tower going down as Glacial Esports is able to pick up their first in the game. They're on the top side of the rift. Not really the most consequential tower, as that will mean that SLK will be able to pick up this Ocean Drake. That's going to delay an Ocean Soul from Glacial Esports Black for another 10 minutes. And that puts SLK in a really good position here.
But looking at it on the other side, wait a sec.
Yeah, we do have Slight Level! Annihilated thanks to Loki Dosi's damage. We got number 2 Ginger.
Oh no, they're dead.
Will drop the Wild Growth to be able to get away from Silva and Sprug. Sprug has no damages. Learning Brain to be able to take down Silva, and now Sprug is now not long for this world. It's an ace for SLK!
Oh, the flash.
What is there in spawn?
They are able to take that fight down, and that came out of nowhere because we were watching a dragon taken down, but at the same time, and I'm not sure if the replay is going to show it perfectly. Yeah, actually, look at the minimap. They killed this dragon, they forced the play, Lissandra is diving onto this Victor. The Victor got ultimated. I think, yeah, the ultimate is down from Lissandra. They force a play, Lissandra takes too much damage, and then here, it's pretty much the Loki Dozy show, because they cannot kill these Aphelios. Meanwhile, they are just running the fight on the other side. Popeng is dying after the Lissandra dies, and then here is pure cleanup. If there's nothing else, and this turns into a Baron because they have the damage to take it down now.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a caster curse or a caster blessing, but at the end of the day, it is a 20-minute Baron for SLK and a 10,000 gold lead, which meets the requirements for a dominating victory here for our returning champs in Game 1. There's very few avenues for them to be able to escape, and with that being said, I really have to appreciate the strategy that SLK wanted to go for. They got the early gold onto Loki Dozy, and they knew that if you could get this Aphelios to a point where they just have too much damage and too much gold, they'll just win. And Kaidazor is just going to go down here. We got a teleport coming in. We actually do have a play as Learning Brain is going to try to get some damage into the Kaidazor. We'll be able to make it happen, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 as number 2 Ginger will go down. Unfortunately, what is the response from SLK? It is going to be, I think, that inner tower in the top lane.
But the thing here for GEB is that, yes, they may lose the top lane turret, which I think they would have lost with the Baron almost anyway, but the overall play turns them 1-for-1 and another kill for Pope. It's this sort of plays that as long as you're able to trade in a way that it's not completely bad for you, then you're fine. They don't even lose the turret yet. So I think that that's completely fine for them.
Fair enough. As we've got about 90 seconds remaining, less than 90 seconds remaining before Glacial Esports does no longer have to worry about the Dragon. Loki Dozy, though, can be able to find Popeng at the red buff here. Will he be able to pick up the kill? As Predator's going to come in, Learning Brain will not find him, but Loki Dozy will. Popeng is going to be able to pick up another, or Popeng's going to die, actually. Loki Dozy is going to be unstoppable.
He was between two turrets and an Aphelios that is 7-1 prior to that kill. I'm not sure he survives that almost ever. So it's still a nice attempt. He didn't even get the red buff, but he was looking for it. And I think that that's something.
All right, Loki Dozy, though, I want to point out that with those Gravitum shots, was able to two-hit all the Raptors at this point. And number 2 Ginger is going to two-hit Sly Lego. Gonna be the Chaos Storm and the laser dropping on a gravity weld Nami. Gonna be fish food and a power play for SLK for the next 20 seconds. Baron is still up for 17, so they're going to be able to pick up the inhibitor tower in the mid lane. They picked up the top tier 2 tower. Better Genetics is very low at 200, but he's going to drop the maximum dosage, and he'll be just fine as Learning Brain is going to take down Kaidazor. Loki Dozy will take down the inhibitor. Popeng will die, and SLK is looking to go for an end angle here. As Learning Brain is going to go for a double kill. Has the Wild Growth, is going to be able to take down Slug. It is going to be number 2 Teacher going down. Silver will die. Phoenix may survive. It's going to be game for SLK. 23 minutes completed.
That is a game by SLK. That is dominating, to say the least. It's 23 minutes, 22 kills, almost kill per minute for SLK. They dominate the game. I'm trying to guess the future, trying to predict it, and I'm seeing the Gragas not on the side of SLK. Because Learning Brain dominated almost every stage of this game by himself, without taking credit away from the other members. But Learning Brain was a monster.
I mean, I have to agree with you there, because had Learning Brain not been able to pick up those 4 assists, like, he was 1-0-3 in the first 5 minutes of the game. Yeah. Like, he was able to set up the both Loki Dozy and number 2 Ginger for success, and most importantly, Loki Dozy. And from that point on, Loki Dozy dominated the bottom lane and dominated the Rift, but that maybe did not happen if Learning Brain did not go down there and pick up those early kills for Loki Dozy to be able to establish. Because remember, not only was that a double kill for Loki Dozy, it was also double buffs. So he was able to dominate the first, 6 minutes of the game because of that early gank. And despite Silva and Sly Lego's best efforts, Learning Brain was still able to utilize the pathing correctly to not be seen by the wards and pick up a really dominant start to a game and a dominant win for SLK.
Exactly. And even with the answers that GB tried to showcase in certain moments, it just never felt like those were going to turn around the game. We talked about this, right? The fact that they had the Viego in their team, it's a fine pick. You have certain lanes that can play around it. But one mistake on any lane or one bad time on any lane that they go completely wrong, it messes up completely with the Viego. And even with kills that he got, he was getting dumpstered by the Gragas. And that really was the name of the game for so long. The skating effect that Learning Brain was able to achieve in the game was so demolishing towards GB.
Yeah, I mean, demolishing, destructive, dominant,
Monstrous.
demonstrous, a demonstration of Diamond Plus gameplay. I don't know. Regardless of that, we're gonna throw it to Kevbo and Quintic to break down game one. See you guys shortly.
Oh, we're back already?
We sure are. How are you doing, Kevpo?
We're chilling. We're chilling. Me and Quinn watching from the sidelines in what was, as we said, a demonstrous performance from SLK there. Really, playing to their strengths, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean we've established that SLK are a very aggressive team. Um, and I thought at first, looking at the draft, this was going to look like a different look for them, right? We have a control mage, we have a hyper carry, we have Lulu, right? An enchanter. We have a bot lane designed to kind of stifle and neutralize the Lucian Nami. Like that, it's been the dominant answer at Worlds because of how well it like stops their aggression. And instead, what we see is SLK spending every flash they have on their team forwards before 4 minutes just to generate kills. Right. I
Yeah,
think, like as TDS said, right? If any piece of that Viego comp collapses, it's very bad. And SLK really they pulled out all the stops to set behind the Lucian, like the most important damaging component of that, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was like TDS was hitting on that early roam, early pathing towards the bot side by Gragas. They got the early kill onto the Aphelios, and Loki Dosi just kept rolling the entire game. Also, I think something we want to talk about was while they were very aggressive with their summoner spells early, there was also a lot of restraint shown by SLK.
So I kind of got it in my head, like, a very simplistic picture of how this team plays, right? SLK, they fight, they kill you, they snowball, and just like close it out as fast as possible. But what they demonstrated is that their strategy is a lot more sophisticated than that, right? SOK are really looking like a top team in this league, and I would not be surprised to see them go all the way, because even though they're going to incorporate their trademark like early aggression into anything they can get, even if they see like the enemy Viego, who a champion who's expected to full clear, and like immediately capitalize on that to get themselves active, they know how to slow it down. They know how to avoid wasting their summoner spells if a flash would not get them to safety. They conserve resources. Once they have their 5,000 gold lead on the Aphelios, they don't need to force anymore. They recognize that. And it's just so nice to see a team like actually playing with the tempo of the game, right? Speed it up, slow it down. What does your team need in the moment? Like they're actively thinking about it and leaving Glacial Esports Black to flounder, to struggle, to try to force plays, right? We saw the Lissandra going really deep between tier 1, tier mid, or tier 2 mid turrets, because that's their only option. Like, what are they going to do if their Lucian is set behind, right? So it is the interview last week kind of made it sound like it's just like unga bunga me fight mentality from SLK, but it's the fact that it goes so much deeper than that is absolutely terrifying. Right.
Yeah, I mean there is a reason that SOK won the last split, and it was, I'm sure, while I didn't get to see much of it, through pretty aggressive team comps, a lot of skirmishing early, and they were able to beat Glacial Esports Black the last time that they faced in a best of 5, uh, what needs to change? What do we need to see from Glacial Esports?
So for Glacial, if you're going to go toe to toe with SOK in their own like aggressive style, I think you need to be more flexible with the pathing. Like, sure, Viego prefers to full clear, but at the same time, like if SOK is a team who are consistently going to break off from just getting the camps, like just cycling efficiently there, you need to be using your strength. I would like to, if you're going to use a similar strategy, I would like to criticize like the support play a little bit in the sense that Nami is the exposed champion in that lane. So when I see a gank starting and Nami dumps all of her cooldowns onto Lucian, who has his own tools to get away because he's closer to the inside track, it kind of shows like too much selflessness. Look, SLK play a scrappy game. They're trying to solo queue on you. So I think like Glacial's laners need to be a bit more selfish with keeping themselves alive, and their jungler just needs to, like, match that tempo sometimes, right? I kind of don't want to see them go back to the Lucian Nami. I know it's a strong duo. I kind of want to see them like trying to neutralize to give Popeng some time to be their team's X factor. But like it's so hard to come up with an answer when you're playing against a team who just pushes the tempo this fast, like this efficiently.
So
and with these
point,
champions too. Like
at that point, would you almost rather see them play and absorb and scale kind of comp, stuff like, and we saw the Ornn, but maybe more of that throughout, something like a Galio mid that's going to be able to absorb pressure, going to be pretty safe options.
Honestly, no, because like if you expose any hole in your draft, like SLK just attacks it, right? It's not like it's not like having more scaling inherently gives them more of an advantage. They have to be able to play the early game to neutralize. Like they have to have better hands and a more aggressive like jungle pick than the Viego, like something that relies on fewer synergies so they can afford to have something fall behind and just embrace the chaos. Or no, you know what? I think it's just that one. I think it's just that one. Embrace the chaos. Draft for champion, like take something that requires fewer synergies than Viego. Take something that's not as like game warping as the Lucian Nami, where it's like, hey, give our resources down here, and if we collapse, the game's over. Just it's hard to
double
predict
down,
because
really.
it's double down, or it's based on the draft. Really, just you have to. I'm actually glad to see them on red again, because it gives them the most opportunities to pick something that won't collapse to what SLK have shown, right?
Absolutely. We will have to wait and see, though, what they do decide to do. Of course, they have lots of options. Quinn and myself hoping that we get some doubling down, hoping that we get some more action. But we are actually ready for a draft of game 2. SOK up 1-0 in this best of 5. Moose and TDS, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Kevbo and Quintic, once again for your guys' analysis. If you guys have not done so already, Quintic just released a phenomenal video on magic damage on his YouTube channel, just showing his overall, just knowledge and skill, not only as an analyst, but also just as a player. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely follow and subscribe to Quintic's YouTube channel so you guys can check out all the content that he brings out. Always love seeing new content from our analysts and just from anyone in general, because it's a ton of fun and it's always great and informative to watch. With that being said, though, like we said, SLK, dominant Game 1 victory. TDS, Glacial Esports, really needing to wake up here in Game 2.
They need to turn it around. They need to win the second game because nobody wants to go 0-2 into the last game of VO5. Too much pressure, too much that could go wrong. So this is time to try and turn it around. They are staying in red side, which I think it's not a bad idea, because I feel like if they use their counters and their red side selection picks, they can find answers that could beneficiate them. But I think that they are into a position where if they must ban something like the Gragas or Yumi or any of those other champions, then it can be a little bit harder on them as well.
Definitely. And that's, I think, what really is setting SLK here right now is like every single game, I feel like them as a unit have been so they've been so direct and very straightforward in what their objective is, and that really doesn't change whether or not they are in a difficult situation or if they are in a situation that they can actually work with. They have been able to show us that when they have an idea of what they want to try to go for, they are confident in making it happen. And Glacial Esports, they're looking to react to that, which isn't really a play to win strategy here. So I'm very curious to see what Glacial Esports is going to bring to the table here in game 2. So far, SOK and GEB have kept with the same bans: Yuumi, Caitlyn, Kindred, Aatrox. Now, we saw the power of the Gragas in game 1. Glacial Esports might be forced to ban it here in game 2. We'll have to see what they decide to do.
I think it's the same bans from SLK now. They have the last ban, could potentially be the Gragas. SLK, I think they are more than willing to pick it if they pick it again. But immediate Victor pick, and I'm surprised they went so quickly into the Victor first pick. Not necessarily that it's a bad champion or anything like that, but more so than you can get countered super easily if you go for the first pick Victor. And it's not like GB doesn't have picks to try and favor in comparison to the Victor, so it feels kind of weird in my eyes.
I think with that being said, it is maybe, I don't know if it's a little bit of a limit test, or maybe it's just maybe in the draft, number 2 Ginger is saying that I feel like I can beat out in the mid lane. It doesn't really matter what champion he plays, so just blind pick me something that's going to be stable. Victor is stable, and remember, he did have that outplay against a decently fed Lissandra who overdived there. So deciding to now go for that first pick, Syndra is going to get picked along with the Viego. Poping's Viego did not really leave a lot, left a lot to be desired in game 1, and now we're going to see it again here in game 2, paired up with the Syndra. The unleashed power to be able to maybe execute a champion to get those resets is there. Glacial Esports now going to have to contend with the Lucian Nami, however, on the side of SLK.
They do have the double execution, like you're pointing out, so certainly could be a factor that makes Viego's killing potential be much higher. And I think it's bound to be interesting seeing how well it performs. Now, the Sejuani to close it out, but with the Viego pick, you pretty much know that this should be a Sejuani top. I think that there's not enough arguments, or at least I don't think that there's a lot of arguments for it to be a Sejuani bot lane. I think that would be surprising. So I think this is pretty straightforward. But it opens up the counters now for SLK because they can pick top, they can pick jungle here. They already have their bot lane, and they can ban away the Aphelios. That was a problem in the reverse matchup in the previous game. So could be also something that GEB may not have in for themselves comparatively.
They might not have it in the kit, they just might not have it available, or they might not be able to use it because, like you said, it might get banned out. Glacial Esports is worried about the top lane, though. They're worried about that Urgot once again. The Trundle is going to get taken away. That is something that could potentially survive some of that execution because of the Subjugate, and Sejuani has a lot of resistances, or will build a lot of resistances there, so I think it's a decent ban to take that away, either from the top lane or the jungle. Lulu is going to be the ban here. I think that that's the solid pick. If the Aphelios does get locked in, you now have taken away one of the best pairings with it. You could potentially go for something like a Taric, for example, try to get something that's melee, maybe even go for something like a Leona here, but Glacial Esports is going to have to worry about now deciding or revealing their hand in the bottom lane, which could give SLK an idea of what they want to pick up here in the top lane and the jungle to complement what Lokidosi brings to the table.
And now you're the one that predicts the big moves, it seems, because it is the Leona coming in. Having more engaged potential can work out quite nicely, especially if you have a champion to pair it up. This feels now that with the Leona, they could opt into the Kai'Sa to have that hard to see the champion that can take advantage of with the passive of the Kai'Sa, and could be quite beneficial. I was thinking maybe Karma could be the pick, but I feel like Leona does her part in this kind of comp and does provide that extra engage that you may be lacking in certain parts. The Xin Zhao, not something that we've seen quite recently. It's a champion that you have to have a liking for, you have to be comfortable with, and that being in the meta would be much more beneficial for it. It can still be quite good, but it's surprising to see it right now. And in the top lane, I feel like they could opt back into the Mundo because of the CC shield. Not necessarily I think that Sejuani is a bad matchup for it, but ooh, it's the Poppy instead.
It is the Poppy, and now the Xin Zhao or the Poppy could potentially go into the jungle here, but I actually really enjoy the Xin Zhao and what he's going to be able to bring to this composition. Crescent Guard has the potential to be a massive game changer, denying the unleashed power as well as the Glacial Prison if it's utilized correctly, because of course it is sort of that pseudo wall. You're not able to damage him outside of it if you're not there. Like you said, TDS, the Kai'Sa is going to be the pairing here with the Leona, so definitely going to be a really, really kill-heavy potential bottom lane here with the Killer Instinct as well as the Zenith Blade. If Zenith Blade lands onto Nami, the stun into the damage that Kai'Sa is able to bring out just might be enough for GEB to be able to pick up that kill. So it is going to be on SLK to be a little bit nervous of what potentially the Leona Kai'Sa is going to be able to bring to the table. And on top of that, you've also now got a little bit of lockdown so that Viego can then follow up with his own CC so that they could potentially secure the kill, which was something that they weren't able to do in game one.
It's I think a pretty straightforward way to try and deal with things, because in the previous game you had the Nami, you have the Viego, you have the Lucian as well to try and deal damage. The issue is that there's no straightforward way to get onto a target. Right? Like there's no point and click ultimate like with Nautilus to try and knock up someone to go for the kill immediately. Leona kind of covers that issue up. You have much clear cut way to try and get on top of someone, and as long as you have the damage to follow up, it should be at least a summoner blown or a kill, one of two. So at least it can be much more effective for Glacial, because in the previous game, when you're behind and you don't have those comeback mechanic tools, it can be a little bit harder. You can argue that Lissandra was that, but Lissandra is much more focused on being on the sideline and pushing most of the time than being surrounded with the rest of the team. Something that Leona will not have a problem with because she's a support.
Now, something that I'm actually very curious about here is how Learning Brain is going to play the early stages of this game, because every single other game that we've seen him play that he's done like just phenomenal jungle work, he's had an ability to be able to dash around the terrain. Xin Zhao and Poppy is not going to be able to provide that this time, so the ganks are going to be a little bit more straightforward. Again, of course, if they land, whether it is the Poppy or the Xin Zhao, I think that it is going to be Xin Zhao as the jungler here. Of course, it could potentially go into the top lane against a Sejuani.
Could be the case.
Don't know if that is going to be the actual idea. It is now a toss-up, because you could put Viego into the top lane to go up against Xin Zhao, and then it's Poppy versus Sejuani. Regardless of this, however, you never know. You never know with these teams. You never know in Diamond play. They're just basically like silver players, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, SLK in a position now to make this into match point. Do you think that they've got the draft to do it? And what weaknesses do you think that you see in their draft that Glacial Esports can exploit?
So I feel like there's some of the similar weaknesses in the previous game to what GEB had in SLK's draft. Not necessarily in the mid-jungle duo, but much more so in the top lane and in the bot lane. Bot lane is pretty straightforward. You have to win it to really find the value, but more times than less, it can win out. The top lane feels like such a consistent matchup compared, like in the previous game it was. It's tank against tank. You may get the better in some of the trades. There's not much kill pressure. That is Ignite, so maybe you have to worry about that with the Sejuani. But apart from that, I don't expect much things to go wrong. The main issue is going to come with the Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao needs to be proactive, like the Gragas early on, to try and find the value that you really want. Because if he falls behind, he's not like Viego, where you can find a teamfight where one reset can turn everything around. If he falls behind, he's pretty much going to turn into an ultimate bot, where he engages, ultis, then survives for as long as he can, which is not that much, and then dies. That's the future of Xin Zhao if he falls behind. And I think that that's what Learning Brain needs to go against, because he doesn't have outs comparatively to where he was in the previous game, and compared to the Viego that does have late game outs.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how this is going to turn out here. Will we get to see
100%.
another Will we get to see another dominant victory for SLK? That first game ended in 24 minutes with a 6,000 gold advantage for SLK before the 14-minute mark. Glacial Esports Black, they've got to step it up, and they got to make something happen here in Game 2 if they want to keep this entire series competitive. Speaking of our competitive nature, though, TDS, neither of us were correct in our Dragon prediction in Game 1. Let's try again here in Game 2.
I'm going to stick with Hextech, not with Cloud.
Hextech?
Yep.
I'm going to go with Cloud. I think it's going to be a Cloud Rift here in Game 2. A little bit more movement speed, a little bit more action in the jungle, maybe. We'll have to find out what it is going to be in just a bit. With that being said, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to be back with Game 2 here of this semifinals matchup in the VTS. SLK up 1-2 Glacial Esports Black. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 of this VTS semifinals match, SLK versus Glacial Black, and an opportunity for SLK to go up 2-0 in this pivotal series to make it into grand finals. My name is Moose. I'm joined here today by TDS and then Dan from Discord on the production side of things. Taking a look at the start of this match, though, it's going to be a little bit of shenanigans here in the jungle, as better genetics will not be allowed to escape. But as we get our start, no real advances into the other side of either jungle. Both teams wanting to keep their jungle safe, which tells me that they're looking to maybe go for some early jungle plays.
I want to see some invades, particularly with the Xinjiao. You're against the Viego, you're a nerd-digging jungler. If you can find an angle to go into the enemy jungle and try and steal something, it's with this Xinjiao. Now, they are hovering the exits. There's no vision into any pathway, so it's not like they're going to spot the Xinjiao if he tries to go for the blue or anything like that. But with both starting on the top side, I'm expecting to see Xinjiao try and run into the Viego as soon as possible.
Silva having some fun, spamming some shenanigans in the river. But regardless of that, look at all the pots. Look at all the pots on this side of SLK. No refillable potion, just one to go for them. Do you
online.
prefer health potions or do you prefer the refillable potion when you play?
So I'm more of a refillable potion guy for one reason and one reason only, because that way I don't have to spend more gold in it. I like efficiency in that regard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate your candor there. Just means you're going back to base more.
Yeah, that just means that I have to buy and then to stay out and then to come back and get the potion again, click the button. I'm way too lazy for that as well, so it's kind of hard for me.
It's mentally exhausting. Yes, I
Exactly.
completely understand. But with that being said, though, SLK again is looking to be able to find something here as Popang trying to go for a level 3 play on the bottom side of the Rift is going to be seen out by War, but he is still looking to advance here. He's going to drop the Hallowed Mist. Is not going to be able to find a gank, but is just in the area. Does kind of slow down also Learning Brain's movement as he tried to go for a play in the mid lane. Sprug is now in trouble. Level 2 to level 3. Better Genetics does not have Ignite. He will get Sprug down to less than 100 HP, but he will escape.
Yeah, and that's an Ignite diff kind of angle, where if you had the Ignite as a puppy, you probably get that kill, but you're never running Ignite as the puppy, so not much to say. Still, really good play by Better Genetics, controlling the top lane, trying to put pressure. I'm not sure they saw Learning Brain. They have an advantage here because there is a red buff on the Viego. Viego with red buff is much stronger than the Xin Zhao right now, and they also have the first move. Pretty good rotation by GB here. They were able to stop Learning Brain for achieving the Scholar Craft and could even get the other one, because Viego was moving first.
Yeah, very nicely done there, coming in from Popang, dropping the Spectral Maw onto the shield, getting that true damage. Kaidazor coming in for some hovering defense, and that's going to lead to double buffs, or not double buffs, but double Scuttle Crab for Popang, and a significant CS advantage and tempo lead for the GEB jungler. Gonna also be able to maybe go for those Prugs once again, as he's gonna help push up the top lane here. Sprug is low on mana at about half HP. He's gonna help cover for the second as Better Genetics teleported in. Looking to be able to harass a little bit here. Sprug's gonna try to deal a little bit of damage, but Sprug is gonna be forced into a difficult situation. Better Genetics is gonna flash. Sprug is gonna
die now.
Insurance traps are gonna come through. Sprug is still in the lane.
They could honestly have set up a dive, if I'm honest here, because they have the Ignite, they have the Viego coming in, the puppy took way too much damage from the minions, and Better Genetics opted into the hypey play to be able to actually take the trade, but it's not close enough to the turret that he gets multiple turret shots. One more secures the kill, but it's simply not enough in that play. It's still hypey, and I respect the idea, it just doesn't work out that well.
Yeah, and when you look at, Sprug here with the Ignite advantage now, Better Genetics was, trying to risk it for the 3-point biscuit, trying to go for that half-court shot, just unfortunately not able to land it this time. Is going to be forced to back again. We'll lose a couple of minions, but Sprug now with the Summoner Spell advantage for the next couple of minutes. Other than that, however, quietest game that we've seen from SLK in this series so far. No deaths yet, no real attempts at a really major kill. Glacial Esports have been able to slow it down and execute upon the slowed down gameplay pretty well.
The issue is that, in all honesty, this benefits more the side of a GV, because since nothing is happening, there are champions that take a little bit more time, maybe like the Viego or the Syndra now with the new rework, are benefited. They don't need to push the issue, they can just wait a little bit longer and then they can finally become a factor. It's Learning Brain that is feeling the pain now, because he really is not achieving anything. He's behind in minions, 3, but it's still behind, and he also is not finding any avenues to try and gank any lane, so you're kind of missing out on the value of the Xin Zhao pick, and they need to try and push the issue at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, we've got, Glacial Esports looking to be able to pick up that first dragon. It is going to be a Cloud Drake. Loki Dosi. Nice utilization of the Relentless Pursuit to be able to get away from Sly Lego. Has the first strike, so is going to be able to get innately more gold. But at the end of the day, that is going to be Sly Lego without the real Flash. Hex Flash is still available, though.
All in all, Flash for nothing ends up working out quite nicely for SLK. They may lose the Dragon here just because they do have push in the bot lane, and then the Syndra is also trying to respond. I think they know that the Shinja is here.
I think so as well. Silva and Slylego also with the lane pushing forward to their side. I'm not going to be able to pick up any potential play here so far, but we aren't actually seeing any pings from Glacial Esports that show that Learning Brain was spotted. He is hanging in the area. He wants to try to make something happen here. He knows that Hopeng is not at the Dragon. He is trying to make something happen. We'll see if he is going to try to go for this. He uses the Wind Becomes Lightning to get the Dragon out of the pit and avoid being seen by the Scuttlecraft.
I'm pretty sure that this means that now they secure this Dragon pretty easily because they are not necessarily in vision. It should be sniffed out, if I can say it like that they are on the Dragon, or at least on the vicinity of the Dragon, because that's the only way that they could have gone. Diego top.
Very nice, as we do get to the top side of the Rift. Better Genetics is very low. Better Genetics die! Hopeng will pick up a kill, and first blood to play the black.
And that's the point where you realize that your flash play, it's probably not the play that you should have gone for at all, because that means first blood for Hopeng. Like I was saying, they kind of should sniff out the fact that the Dragon is getting taken, because Lokidosi and Phoenix Wing were not in lane, and that means that now you can go into the pocket lane. That's a lot of damage, but shouldn't be enough.
Yeah, Lokidosi will drop the culling here to get Slylego down to about half HP. Silva is also still level 5, but they will both be level 6 here very shortly. As it looks like they will try to go for one turret plate. They are going to be able to get it, and Slylego is going to go in. He's not yet level 6. He's not yet level 6. He's level 1. He's going to be double class. He's going to be able to secure it. Silva is now going to be in trouble. Oh man, Slylego not going for the play that they wanted. Now Learning Brain is going to try to finish the job here. This would be a huge win for SLK if they are able to get it. They're pushing forward the lane. They're looking to go for the dive. Silva does have Flash, trying to be able to find it here, but is not, actually is unable to escape. Will utilize the Flash, will utilize the Killer Instinct, but it is not enough.
Close, but not cigar for Learning Brain. It ends up working out so well for the set of SLK. They are able to get out of the turret, which is quite important. And they also get, I think, 3 plates in total. 2. They weren't able to get the 3rd one. But 2 plates in total. Quite good for them. It's not the Illusion that gets the kill, which I think it's maybe the saddest part out of everything that happened under in the bot lane. But it's still a pretty good answer that SLK were able to pull up. That last thing right there. It's a flash in. And actually, Phoenix Main also flashed in. But I think if the damage doesn't flash in, they don't get extra enough damage to be able to get the kill. So quite important.
Yeah, I mean, very important there for Slylego to go down, because that's the only way that Silva dies here. I mean, it was very close. Learning Brain had to use Flash to get away from the tower, if you can take a look on your screen.
Really like that Learning Brain also didn't just immediately use the E, but instead utilized the Wind Becomes Lightning first to secure the slow, and then also in case the Kai ends up running away on the other side like she did. Oh.
Okay, we got another play here at the bottom lane. Slylego and Silva have been bullied this entire series, and it will not stop now. Lokidosi will pick up their first kill, and that is going to be the bottom lane down once again.
You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it already played so well on the bot side and you got the kills, just keep on doing that. It probably will work out again and again and again.
Hopeng is now on the bottom side, looking to be able to defend this wave and to defend this tower. He has the Rift Herald, but he is not able to use it when he is defending the bottom lane. We got Silva and Slylego on the way, but we're not going to be seeing any sort of really risky play here from SLK. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the Rift, it's Better Genetics that is maybe going to be in trouble, as Kaidazor is actually going to be taking a ton of damage. Number 2 Ginger is able to roll up to the mid lane, and Better Genetics survives. First kill for number 2 Ginger in this game, and now they may be looking to push forward here.
I wasn't ready to give up on Better Genetics because it was looking quite doomed, but at the same time, great turnaround. They get the flash in. Oh, Lokidosi.
Okay, nice ward there. Now Slylego once again going in with the Zenith Blade is going to land a lot of damage on the Phoenix main, and that's the Heartbreaker. Hopeng does not get the reset. Lokidosi will take down one. Slylego is next. It's a double kill for the SOK ADC, who once again is dominating here in these games.
amazing turnaround by the side of SLK. The pink ward, perfect position, perfect timing to deny the immediate engage. And I wish to see the replay as soon as possible, because there's one super important factor in that play to me. We're seeing the overall play, how it happened. We can see the setup. They already knew about this because of the vision, so it's not like they are coming in blindly. But the pink ward was just in case they were still stuck in the place, just in case they were still there to be ready for it. Lokidosi reacts immediately, but look at this here. W from Kai'Sa will fly in a sec. Hits the minion. That means that she doesn't have the distance, nor the value for the ultimate to be able to get to the play immediately. That is one of the main differences. Kai'Sa there, I think they get the kill on Toonami, maybe they can get Lokidosi. But without the Kai'Sa, it's just such an easy play for the side of SLK, and it's 2-0 at that point.
And I mean, it's once again Glacial Esports handing these kills over on a silver platter to Lokidosi. Ginger might be in trouble here. Popang will be missed by the Wind Becomes Lightning, but it is going to be the Rift Herald dropped in the mid lane. That's going to be a couple of turret plates, and very close to a third one. Mountain Drake is now spawned. Sly Lego is on the case. We got Lokidosi and Phoenix Mane now pushing forward towards the mid lane. This might be a fight that SLK wants to go for.
I think they can fight it. They have the Lucian that is quite strong. Same with the Xin Zhao 2-0. Gale Force completed. They also have to push in the mid lane, so they have to first move towards that fight if they really want to take it. And just quickly want to say, it's not Cloud. Cloud, it's not Cloud, so...
They don't have to know.
Too late, now they know. But the dragon will fall down, and soon they will realize that I'm wrong as well.
It's going to be a Hextech Drake, I'm sure of it. It's going to be a Hextech Drake here. We got to see it now. I mean, it was in Worlds. It's there all the time. It's 2 Ocean Drakes in a row. Very interesting.
I think it's the first time we've had double Ocean Souls in the same series. Like, immediately one after the other.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've seen that happen before. I think we've seen, double Drakes before. I think we've also seen triple Cloud Drake in a series. But today, so double Ocean Drake in a row. That's 2-0. That is a 1 in 10 chance of that happening. Flash for flash from Ginger. Gonna be able to get away from the play from Kite Azor, but it's gonna force him away from the turret. That's gonna be the mid-tier 1 tower going down. Unfortunately, will not be first tower of the game. That award goes to Lokidosi and Phoenix Mane. Now 3-0-2 on the solution with the Collector Gale Force build. Looking to be able to dominate this game once again. 0-2-0 versus Silva.
I want to see goal difference right now between 80 carries. 6,800 to 4,300. That is harsh onto Silva at this point of the game. It can still work out. It can still be good enough later on. But right now, that 2-item spike is so strong for the Lucian. I don't like the Collector too much because you're kind of betting too much on this mid game being great. And against a champion like the Sejuani that will stack armor this game, I think that it's a little bit risky. But still, if it works out, it's going to be so much more value that you can get. And the positive that you will be able to net for yourself is going to be much higher. Oh, fail.
As we do see the Glacial Prison dropped in the mid lane. Sly Lego not going to drop the Solar Eclipse. It's going to be able to see that Learning Brain was there. Phoenix Mane is out in the mid lane as well. So we got 4 members of the squad in the mid lane. Better Genetics is going to go up against Popang at the Tri-Brush, but he will be able to get away. Still has the Keeper's Verdict, is now Learning Brain. Maybe looking to go for a Wind Becomes Lightning. Audacious Charge will not land the Wind Becomes Lightning once again. Rift Herald is started now by Phoenix Mane and Lokidosi. That could be another neutral objective for SLK. And if they get it, that will be the 3rd neutral objective for SLK before the 20-minute mark.
Popang pretty much completely out of position. Same can be said for the rest of GEB. So that means it's a free Herald for the side of SLK. How they use it? It's on them. I think that they want to try and take down this mid lane turret as soon as possible. And that's where we'll see the focus of the Herald. But with that in mind, I like that GEB was ready for the movement immediately with the Syndra in the bot side, pushing the turret and should be able to secure it with the Leona hovering as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate the response from Glacial Esports. They are unable to pick up the tower, but they do get a lot of damage onto it. So they will be not long for this world. Of course, like we said, the first tower for GEB was that mid-tier 1 tower that they were able to take against SLK. It took a Rift Herald and some pressure to make it happen. But it feels like the strategy here for SLK in this game is around these objectives. They feel like they have the opportunity to be able to go for an Ocean Soul here. So what is it going to take from GEB to be able to stop them from getting this third Drake?
To fight better, I think. maybe that's the best they can hope for, because I don't think that they will have the item advantages. They need to try and get certain picks that can turn into immediate objectives. Particularly, the one that comes to mind immediately is being able to kill this Lucian. That is the main way that you can force an objective into your favor, because that's where a lot of the gold is placed on right now for SLK. So they are bound to need the Lucian to be alive. But if not, killing the Victor is not a bad option either, because controlling the area inside of the pit is something that Victor does great inside of River and the pit. So as long as he's down, you can find more angles to try and force fights into favor.
It does seem as though SLK is preparing for this dragon play here very soon. GEB was able to get the jump on to the lane and into the jungle first, was able to drop some deep wards. Not all of them are going to be cleared out, so there will be a little bit of vision for GEB to have. Better Genetics and Sprug are both going to have their teleports available, but it's going to be Sprug that is going to be rotating down, allowing for Better Genetics to pick up that tower here. We'll have to wait to see when the play is, that they are going to land Glacial Prism on the Phoenix Main. Phoenix Main is going to be the target. We got a lot of damage now onto this Nami, and Nami will fall. That's going to be one kill for GEB, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 as Better Genetics is going to come through with the teleport.
Lokidosi, I think he's dead, yeah.
It's going to go down. Opeg is able to pick up those kills, and that is a big play here for GEB. Learning Grid is going to try to do what he can on the way out, but he is not long for this world. It is going to be an ace for GEB who come back. Well, it does mean that Sly Lego goes down. It's a shutdown and an ace for GEB.
Great team fight by GEB, and here comes the difference. We talked about how Lokidosi needs to stay alive because that's where most of the gold is. But the engage is amazing. They commit to the play into the Nami. Nami cannot respond, doesn't have the cleanse. I think flashes into a spot that it's easier for Silva to commit because she's in a way better position to try and just commit for the play. And Lokidosi gets so committed on. Like, he can barely do anything in this fight because he took so much damage. He also kind of used the Gale Force way too aggressively, and that also kind of spelled his tune. But overall, the team fight from GB was so good. And there's also something that we didn't talk much about, but it's really prevalent in this fight as well. The Xin Zhao was so far behind before this fight happened. He's level 10 to level 12 of Popeng at this point, but before it was level 10 to 11. He also didn't have his mythic completed, so a lot of the damage that you were maybe banking on with the Xin Zhao was so lacking compared to the Viego. And Viego revisits, we know how much of a monster he can be.
I mean, really an incredible setup there from Glacial Black. Sly Lego being able to drop those wards inside the jungle with the assistance of Popeng meant that they were able to find vision on Lokidosi and Phoenix Main, and that is enough for them to be able to pick up that kill. But we are not done with the fighting yet, though. Sly Lego is going to go in. The Zenith Blade is going to come through, but it is going to be Learning Grade picking up one. Go down and make it a 1-for-1, make it a 2-for-1 as Kaidazor is going to take down Learning Brain. Lokidosi is going to be all alone here as Popeng is going to try to go in with a Heartbreaker and take a little bit of damage on the way up, but Lokidosi maybe not enough to be able to pick up a kill here. Glacial Esports is trying to go for Baron, and we got Better Genetics on the way. Let's see if they're going to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, number 2 Ginger is poking quite effectively. They don't have the Glacial Attrition on the Sejuani. This is the best spot to fight.
Oh my god,
such a good fight.
Was a great Keeper's Verdict. That means Sejuani is going to be out of the fight.
Ginger's still alive as well.
Dead. Shut down
Oh
number
no.
2 Ginger. Better Genetics has Better Genetics. It's a double kill for Lokidosi off of a great Keeper's Verdict.
Yeah, you have your Sejuani and your Leona coming back up, but SLK doesn't care. And I was so worried about this fight because they were committing for the Baron, but I think two important moments after that. The start of it, Open takes way too much damage from the Lucian at the start of the fight. They continue to commit for this Baron, and I'm not against Baron with Kai'Sa, with Viego, because they deal a lot of damage, but you're taking this small bit of both, and you don't have a lot of turnaround. Look at it, I just want you to focus on the champions. They don't have their ultimates up. A lot of their ultimates are down. That means that now, for the side of SLK, that doesn't necessarily depend on those ultimates. They can just deal better with this fight, and it works like that for SLK. Perfectly.
Huge performance there from SOK. I have to give the play of that fight to Better Genetics to land that Keeper's verdict onto Sprug without your tank. Your only tank pretty much in that fight. The rest of your composition and the rest of your team just gets destroyed there. Very nicely done coming in from the SLK top laner, who is looking to be able to get out of this one, is going to be able to avoid the Spectral Maw, but they are now actually looking to turn this around. Can SLK get a kill out of this? Popeng is going to be in trouble. We do got the Chaos Storm going to drop a lot of damage. Popeng dies, and number 2 Ginger pick up their 3rd kill of the game.
Great teleport timing, great advantage taken from Popeng, and we're now seeing a little bit more desperation coming in from the side of GEB, right? Because it's not necessarily a bad play, but it's a play that you're committing too much for a Poppy. Like, Poppy is your enemy, is the enemy tank. You may kill it because she didn't opt into a tanky mythic, but still, it's going to take a while before you actually take her down.
Yeah, Winter's approach has been completed. Thimble Winter is now unlocked. Baron is now up for another 90 seconds. Learning Brain, Phoenix Main, and Loki Dosi going to be able to take down the mid-tier 2 tower.
Oh.
Number 2 Ginger, though, is going to be in trouble. Going to try to make it a 1-for-1 here, but is not able to take down Kaidazor despite the Leandri's proc. Very close, but no cigar there. It is going to be at least a kill there for GEB in exchange for the mid-tier 2 tower. And the rest of SLK looking to go towards the top tier 2 tower now as well.
Maybe I think they take this down. They do have the Lucian, they have the Poppy damage as well. They have double Shin proc, so it turns into a pretty easy collection. I like the attempt from number 2 Ginger, if I'm honest, because with ulti, you straight up one-shot the Silva at that point. But he didn't have it. That's the tough part. He didn't have the ultimate. Still, great advantage that they took there from the Victor, and it also opens up a little bit of a timing to get more vision control down there in the bot side, set up for this dragon, although Popeng, I think, walked without having vision, so it needs to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, I mean, Popeng did drop the Oracle Lens earlier, and it was able to get that first, or get that control ward into the now new Tribrush from the Ocean Drake. Because GEB lost, or won that last ace fight at Dragon Pit, they were able to pick up that dragon, which means that SLK is at least 5 minutes away from getting the Ocean Dragon Soul. And this is a fight that GEB, I think, wants to play here. It's a 4,000 gold lead for SLK, but it is not close enough. We're not done yet here. GEB wants to win this game, and they have a chance to do it. Learning Brain is going to be the target, going to be hit by a lot of damage. A great tidal wave from Phoenix Main, but it's Loki Dozy trying to go through. He's going to try to get away. He'll get shut down. That's going to be a lot of damage there from Kaidazor, who's going to be able to get away. He's going to take down Popeng upstream. Meanwhile, Phoenix Main trying to be able to survive. Better Genetics going to take down the Nami, as the Ginger is now extremely low. Sprug is low. Silva is low. Everybody is low, but at the end of the day, it's going to be 3 kills to 2 in favor of GEB.
Phoenix, I'm sorry, Lucky Dozy is looking for some angles that I'm not 100% sure if I'm going in favor of them. Like, trying to commit too heavily onto Silva. Yes, the Kai'Sa took way too much damage in that fight, but you really cannot force yourself like that. You're the main damage dealer. I like this attempt first. Try and take down Learning Brain. Look at this, it's a 3v4 at the start of it. Popey is taking a little bit too long, and then Victor and Diego are fighting on the side. Loki Dozy, you cannot go for that sort of play because you're most of the damage off your team. If you die, it's going to turn badly for them. Like Lego almost didn't die. They were able to burst out the other champions, and luckily for them, number 2 Ginger actually wins against the Diego. So that salvages the teamfight a little bit more because it could have been much more awful.
16 to 12, SLK still with a slight advantage in gold, 3,000 at this point, but it's not the dominant victory that they had in Game 1. This is a very close game here against Glacial Esports, who are bringing it back off of a phenomenal performance from Sprug, landing these Glacial Prisons. Now, with the Frozen Heart and a Thornmail, the Sejuani is not going down, and like you said, that Collector TDS is not going to get that same value that maybe, say, a Last Whisper or something like that might have been able to bring to the table here.
Never been a super fan of the Collector, even if you're ahead, but when you're in this point where the tank of the enemy team is so far ahead and he has 3 armor items. We talked about this. He was going to build armor straight up. He has 4 armor items because I'm going to count boots, and you have the Collector. You have no armor pen. That is going to be so hard to go over. You're depending on the Victor to be able to deal with Sprog, and I feel like that is such a risky bet to go over. You're not seeing the ward though. That is so unlucky.
They do know that there may be some shenanigans here inside this river brush going into the mid lane. SLK is not going to take the bait this time. So that is going to be now potentially an opportunity for SLK to respond. Learning Brain. Gonna pick up a couple of ward vision score plays with that Oracle Lens. But at the moment, SLK is not fully in control of this game. Yes, they do have a significant tower advantage, or not a significant tower advantage, but they do have the mid and top tier 2 towers down. They have an opportunity to potentially go for a play here soon, but let's see what happens as Lokidosi is going to potentially be the target here from Sprug. That is a nice off the prison. The Blade Prison is going to land from Lokidosi. He's going to be able to get away. Nice cleanse from the Lucian.
A little
bit of damage. Oh my god,
Lokidosi's dead. Or not? What?
Lokidosi survives the play, and Propane goes down. Better Genetics is not able to secure it, and Sly Lego and Propane dead means that SLK might try to go for Baron.
Oh, really good push there by the Syndra, but there's no follow-up. They cannot follow up. This is going to be Baron, like you're pointing out. Genetics is playing so well. Oh,
we're not done yet. The Octo Prison is going to land. Sprug does not have his Glacial Prison again, as Baron is going to be reset. Sprug is lower. He does not have flash. He does not have a way out. And Lokidosi gets his revenge on I forgot the name of the Bristle. Bristle, but he will go down, and the shutdown money goes to Lokidosi.
before he's not Sejuani, that is true, but still, they both died, so who cares? That is Baron for the side of SLK, and they have now a much better grasp of this game. I already pointed out, but I'm sticking with it. Better Genetics to me is the one that is making these fights go so much in favor of the side of SLK. It was looking really good for GEB. They were locking them down. Look at the start of this fight. They know that SLK is locking themselves into this spot. They are engaging onto the play. They are ready to teleport the Syndra in. They force it onto Lokidosi. Clancy's out at first. Then again, I don't know how Lokidosi is in such a bad spot again, but it's a Syndra stun that gets it on top of Lokidosi. Doesn't die though, which is the biggest thing, and then pushing away Silva. That's why I think Better Genetics wins this fight, because you're taking out the Kai'Sa that already used the killer instinct to try and dive in. So you're pretty much without an AD carrying what's left of the fight. Lokidosi survives, and you just turn around the fight immediately as SLK.
Very, very nicely done from SLK. That will reward them Baron with the Dragon up in 30 seconds, but we are not done with the fight yet. As Lokidosi gets targeted with Glacial Prison once again, he'll be able to avoid it this time. Sly Lego gets targeted over the left as well, and he will go down.
Lokidosi has the flash!
Take the tank out of the fight, and everyone else is up in the water. Number 2 is going to take down one. Silver will take down Lokidosi, but it is going to be an ace for SLK, and maybe even the end of the game. GEB put up a fight, but they will get ace once again, and Better Genetics with another Great Keeper's verdict is going to help secure game 2.
Lokidosi ends up turning himself as the bait of SLK. It felt like he was the main way to try and win every other fight, but it's still Better Genetics finding so much value. Number 2 Ginger as well has the damage, and they are able to add to and take this fight, and more than likely close out this game. 10 seconds for Copen, though maybe Sly Lego can buy enough time. They just need to keep pushing, honestly. They don't need to even kill the Leona.
Yeah, Leona's not going to be able to put up much of a fight here. That's going to be the Octo Prison to add to the stats. And there it is. SOK will take the game and will now be one game away from going into grand finals of the VTS. Man, I think you said it correctly there. Loki Dosi just being such a magnetizing force against Glacial Esports.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to take down this Lucian, but he had so much protection and basically 9 lives, it felt like. That last fight, he didn't have cleanse, but what he had was a great Mikhail's Blessing from Phoenix main to be able to get out of the slow from that glacial prison and reposition himself to deal enough damage before he went down. And like you said, number 2 Ginger coming in, the cavalry arrives, he deals the damage that he needs to do, and that is going to put Shining Light Knights into a match point position against GEB.
In what was a pretty chaotic game in my eyes. Like, that was such an entertaining game because of how many fights we got, but how many small outplays could have changed the outcome of the game. Because yes, Loki Dosi survives in a couple of those, but one tick of any sort of damage, they are dead. That fight is completely different. Whereas okay, and Glacial could have turned it around. It must be a heartbreaker because I feel like they were playing quite nicely and they had a lot of moments where they could have just taken straight up control of the game. But they are going to look back at that Baron play, the first Baron play, where they just lost the game completely because they died and gave up Baron, as the turning point of this game. And I think that they just need to correct this sort of small mistakes that can now lead to much more important success later on in the series.
I can't imagine what GEB is going to be able to do here against a different look from SLK that they were able to execute upon. You didn't have to worry about Learning Brain on this Gragas. You didn't have to worry about better genetics for 67 on the Urgot, but it didn't matter. The Poppy was too good. I mean, even the Lucian Nami was just bullying the bottom lane. Silva and Sly Lego were just put into such a terrible position at the early stages of this game. It really feels like SOK is just on top of their game once again and is looking to take another 3-0 against GEB at a pivotal point here in the VTS. We're gonna take a quick ad break. We gotta, you know, sponsor our corporate overlords here for just a minute, but when we return, we're gonna get the analyst desk back onto the stream to talk about the game 2, to talk about the series. We'll be right back, folks. And Learning Brain get the jump on Silva and Sly Lego. It looks like they're gonna be able to. Let's see if the body slam hits. A Sly Lego going to be the one going to be targeted, going to get stunned. The flash wasn't quick enough. Silva will survive, but it's first blood to Phoenix main and SLK. Learning Brain going to get hit by the Spectrum Maw, going to get stunned, and they're looking to go in. Silva's also going to land on the Loki Dosi, but the cleanse is coming through. Silva with no flash will die, and SLK is going to get the first 2 kills of the game, and maybe even looking to go for more. That's going to be a knock-up on Poping, who's very low. GEB side of the rip, Poping is taking a ton of damage, and Better Genetics is going to bamboozle not just the players, but me as well. I did not see him coming. He'll be able to pick up Poping. That's his second death of the game.
And that's the thing here in this play. It's
Oh my god, not done yet. Scrub's gonna be in trouble, gonna be forced to flash away. Better Genetics gonna land another cleaver, as he's going to be taking a little bit of damage here. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Loki Dosi is going to be able to take down Silva in now a 2. Rated even further, it would make it sense. As we get ourselves into the 9.5 minute mark, it feels like this game is already just so accelerated in favor of SLK. Rift Herald unlocked for Learning Brain. They're going to escort this minion wave, but they decided not to go for it as Katador is going to flash forward. It's going to be a lot of damage on the Learning Brain. He's going to be forced to flash. He will not be able to survive. That's going to be the reset for Poping. He's going to get the body slam out of number 2 Ginger. He does still have flash. He's looking to try to be able to get away. We got Katazor on the way. You've also got another knockup from the body slam. And Poping a ton of damage.
He doesn't die?
Tidal wave, though, from Sly Lego trying to be able to escape. Loki knows he's going to use that Caliburn shot to pick up Nami. And now we've got Phoenix Mate trying to find out where Poping is at. Maybe looking to be able to pick up a kill. That is a level 9 Viego versus a level 8
Come on, Lulu,
Lulu.
we believe in you.
Who wins this one? I don't know. Phoenix Mate is going to try to take as much time as possible away from Poping. Poping will definitely win out in this fight. Pardon me. I don't know why I ever doubted it, but Poping might actually die here. As number 2 Ginger will be taken out by Kaido. It will mean that SLK will be able to pick up this Ocean Drake. That's going to delay an Ocean Soul from Glacial Esports Black for another 10 minutes. And that puts SLK in a really good position here.
But looking at it on the other side, wait a sec.
Yeah, we do have Slight Lego! Annihilated thanks to Loki Dosi's damage. We got number 2 Ginger.
Oh no, they're dead.
Will drop the Wild Growth to be able to get away from Silva and Sprug. Sprug has no damage as Learning Brain to be able to take down Silva, and now Sprug is now not long for this world. It's an ace for SLK! One. There's very few avenues for them to be able to escape, and with that being said, I really have to appreciate the strategy that SLK wanted to go for. They got the early gold onto Loki Dosi, and they knew that if you could get this Aphelios to a point where they just have too much damage and too much gold, they'll just win. And Kaidazor is just going to go down here. We got a teleport coming in. We actually do have a play as Learning Brain is going to try to get some damage into the Kaidazor. We'll be able to make it happen, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 as number 2 Ginger will go down. Unfortunately, what is the response from SLK for the next 20 seconds? Baron is still up for 17, so they're going to be able to pick up the inhibitor tower in the mid lane. They picked up the top tier 2 tower. Better Genetics is very low at 200, but he's going to drop the maximum dosage, and he'll be just fine as Learning Brain is going to take down Kaidazor. Loki Dosi will take down the inhibitor. Polpeg will die, and SLK is looking to go for an end angle here. Learning Brain is going to go for a double kill. Has the Wild Growth, is going to be able to take down Slug. It is going to be number 2 Ginger going down. Silva will die. Phoenix Mate will survive. Can Learning Brain get the jump on Silva and Sly Lego? It looks like they're going to be able to. Let's see if the body slam hits. A Sly Lego going to be the one going to be targeted. Going to get stunned. The flash wasn't quick enough. Silva was.
Welcome back to the analyst desk after game 2 of this best of 5 between Glacial Esports Black and Shining Light Knights. Shining Light going ahead 2-0 in the series, feeling pretty nice, feeling pretty good. And a lot of it, you know, can be pointed back to, I mean, everyone likes to point at this, so maybe not always the difference, but a lot of weird stuff going on in the draft.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of notes. We have to kind of speed run all of them, starting on the draft. What I'd proposed originally was that Glacial Esports go for something that is less dependent on each other in terms of synergy points and more in terms of like anybody can be the X factor. They went the complete opposite direction. They went straight back to the Viego. Kevbo, I know you didn't love the idea of like immediately forcing Viego, but clearly they're comfortable on it. And in fairness to them, if you're going to draft a Viego comp, like this is one of the quintessential single target blow up comps, like Syndra setup, Sejuani lockdown, Leona lockdown, Kaisa. I was a little bit concerned on paper about the Kaisa Leona matching into Lucian Nami because I think if you were going to look for simple combat roles, you don't necessarily need the redundancy of Sejuani Leona, and you can instead look for like maybe Draven plus Enchanter, like Draven Soraka, Draven Lulu, something like that to match up into Lucian Nami. But you know what they ended up picking is still a solid synergistic team comp. I can't really blame the draft entirely. Like we have to look more at the in-game stuff. And I want to give them credit for actually adapting to the previous game as well. Popeng adopting a 3 camp to cover a counter gank that, of course, never came, but like very mindful jungling, trying to cover lanes when they were weak. Where I have to give some criticism in game is Popeng was consistently like in the right place at the right time, covering lanes, defending them. But I can't say the same for the lanes in terms of like their own patience waiting for Popeng every time. I felt like there was kind of a lack of specificity in what Glacial was looking to do. When we saw that one moment with Kaisa Leona trying to push up, getting ganked by the Xinjiao, they definitely did not need to fast push that wave. They could have waited one slow, one fast, would have given them the stacked waves to defend them. Popeng was right behind, about to show up. There was that one play with the Leona initiating before hitting 6 onto the Nami, like clearly a lack of communication there, starting the Lucian snowball. And it sucks to see. Like, Glacial Esports are demonstrating that, you know, they don't deserve to get blown out. There are moments of light. Like there's hope for them here. Like, they're executing some good plays from time to time here. They're having winning team fights. But the unforced errors that we were kind of seeing, you know, honestly, from both sides, resulted in a very significant lead from the Lucian and a Poppy who was just way too effective at keeping out the key pieces from a team fight. So I no longer believe that Glacial Esports needs to make any significant adaptations in drafts. I think if they're going to play what they want to play, just approaching things with a very concrete game plan can help them. They've shown they can adapt in game. They've shown they can compete against SLK in the team fights. I just need to see them like adopting more concrete combat roles, right? Because if they're a single target blow up comp and it is sufficient for Sejuani, Kaisa, Viego to be attacking Lucian, then you can hold Syndra to be the primary interrupt on the Poppy. The only chance you're winning a team fight as Glacial with the gold lead and with the gold distribution is if Lucian dies and if Poppy doesn't remove critical members from the team fight. Like, you need even numbers and you need Lucian occupied and threatened. They've won team fights like that. Syndra, I would argue that it has to be Syndra's responsibility to QE Poppy rather than immediately follow up on damage. And I apologize for taking all of our time, Kevbo, and just like going on a rant. I think we kind of discussed that I would be doing that, like just because we have to speed
I mean, really,
points,
the thing that I want to talk about that impressed me the most was the target priority by Poppy. You know, in a couple of those team fights, I think really was difference maker. The Poppy Toppy coming in clutch. I mean, she hit Kaisa in one team fight and then hit Sejuani in the next. So the first one you get rid of a lot of the damage from the team fight, and the other one you get rid of what is the entirety of GEB's front line, right? So it was just really easy to follow up. It was really good into a comp with Viego and Sejuani that want to go forward. You can literally just press one button and say, no, I don't think so. So I really want to shout out what a great counter pick and phenomenal play from the Poppy. We did get to see, as I'm not sure if we're quite ready to go into the next game. I'm still waiting on a little bit here. I personally, I do want to see a little bit of adaptation. Like you said, I really didn't like the Viego. I think neither of these teams are picking Maokai, and Maokai I think is just the most broken champ in the game, right? So I'd like to see some more priority by one of the teams at least onto the Maokai. Maybe switch it up a little bit, especially in the jungle. Like, it's so easy to gank on Maokai. You literally just walk up and press W. So in this comp, if you take the Maokai instead of the Syndra, you walk up, you press W, you press Q, Syndra QEs, and Victor's dead, right? So there definitely are some like very nitpicky things we could see, but I want to see Glacial Esports double down on what they had going for themselves. They obviously like this aggressive style. Like you say, there's a lot of opportunity for them to really capitalize. But we need to see them have a little more restraint, kind of nullify some of these unforced errors, and really buckle down, because it's a long road ahead of you. You got to get a reverse sweep at this point. But anyways, I believe we are actually ready for Game 3, if I'm not mistaken. So we will be...
Just about, yeah, everyone's like trying to move around. There's just barely too many people in this lobby, so we're trying to sort that out.
That's funny. But we are looking at what could be either the start of a reverse sweep or a pretty dominant 3-0 by SLK. Should be very exciting. I'm interested to see what these teams do end up deciding to draft. I mean, we've seen very similar things, but at this point, you do have, especially on the side of SLK, you have the opportunity to kind of run what you feel like. You can have a little bit of a fun game moving forward because you've already won. As I believe we are actually going to be on the same sides yet again.
Yep, no side selection adaptations there. Yeah, I don't blame them. I think GEB have a good thing going for them on red.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if they do end up kicking themselves. Maybe a little bit of a different style of comp, maybe a little bit more CC, a little bit more ability to be proactive, especially from the jungler in the early game. But we are ready for draft, so back over to you, Moose and TDS for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Quintic Kevbo. Appreciate you guys, as always, for your analysis of the series. We did have to kind of race through it, like you said, because both these teams are just wanting to continue to keep that momentum going. Even GEB, they know that, if you keep things moving, if you keep going hot, you might be able to find a way to take a game and maybe even a series win against SLK. My name is Moose, joined here with, of course, TDS and Dan from Discord, as we get ourselves into the bans and picks for Game 3. Same bans for SLK. GEB now have a tough decision to make what their fourth or their third ban is going to be, but so far, maybe looking like another Victor angle for number 2 Ginger in B1.
I would say, honestly, a GB ban again the Gragas and take the bullet. I feel like Victor, yes, it was good enough, but at the same time, I don't think that it was such a hard carry that it's unplayable against. Like, if GB play the same game again with the same champions, they pull off a salty run back, I think that they would be fine, even if they go again, because I don't think that the issue was the champions. I think the issue was the play that they pulled off. And it is the Victor first pick again, like you were mentioning.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea there is that Kaidazor cannot compete with number 2 Ginger in the 1v1, and number 2 Ginger is going to win no matter what mid lane pick you decide to go for. Now, Kaidazor did not have I don't think that Kaidazor had a terrible game as the Syndra, so we are going to see the Syndra picked up once again, but now it's deciding, if you want to go with another jungle pick here. Popang has gone with the Viego in Game 1 and Game 2. Game 2 is a little bit more successful, but it definitely fell off later on in the game when GEB just started to collapse. Do you think we see the Viego once again?
I think they can pull it off again. I really like the combo with the Syndra and the Viego. I think that the execution potential that they had can be really prevalent, and it can work out amazingly. The issue is that Viego falls into that category where your playstyle cannot be so straightforward. You have to be really skirting around team fights and finding those reset angles. So that's why maybe they will wait a little bit longer to see the actual composition and not just straight up pick the champ. First time we see Rakan in the whole series. I'm excited to see how it performs, but this may get countered once again. I can see an angle for Nami Lucian again, in all honesty, even though I feel like that can open up for Rakan Saya now, which Saya is not a bad champion to go against the Lucian, especially with level 6. You can play with your ultimate really effectively, and it is the Lucian Nami angle again.
Yeah, I mean, Rakan is just not a support that we normally get to see. I mean, hasn't really been prevalent at all in Season 12 in some really light niche picks, but they decide to hold off on their ADC pick. They want to get the Sejuani once again. Sejuani was really, really strong in Game 2. I thought that overall performed really, really well on the top side and played enough of a strength, enough in a position of strength that Sprug could have potentially been the deciding factor for GEB to take that victory. The issue, unfortunately, was the power of that Poppy that was able to come through. So I'm curious to see if GEB decides to ban it out here in game 3, leaving open the Urgot instead.
All in all, interesting decision making. One quick thing that I want to point out: SLK goes the same 3 picks for the first 3 picks of the pick phase, which I found kind of funny. But obviously, the ban phase now goes a little bit different. Surprised that they didn't go like, for an Aphelios ban. It's Seraphine, so I'm expecting Seraphine Rakan bot lane. I think it works out if you're able to play off of your CC consistently and you don't go AP. Because I feel like AP this game for the Seraphine is not necessary at all. You have the sync already, you don't need the Seraphine damage. But you rely really heavily on keeping yourself up as long as possible, and also on the resets on the consistency of your abilities. And that's why I think support Seraphine may be more helpful this game. Oh,
Maybe, as the Zac does get locked in here. Glacial Esports is very AP heavy right now. They do not have an AD threat, and
True.
if it is going to be an AD threat, it is going to be an AD threat in the jungle. So that does mean that options are limited there. And if you don't decide to go with an AP threat, you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball a little bit there if you're GEB, and SLK knows that. Zac is going to get locked in, and the Scion is hovered and taken for better genetics. Potentially another great playmaking tool.
I like Cyan. I haven't seen it much, but I just simply like Cyan. I find it funny how he can just simply charge towards people and either work out amazingly or work out horribly. No in between. So I'm glad for the Cyan. And yeah, the Sejuani could still be a flex, like we're seeing right now with the Fiora Hover. I think Fiora Jax is not a bad option either, but I think the Fiora overall would be quite nice. The set here, I really want to point out, I think this is a pretty smart idea because 2 of the champions of SLK will try and dive into you. Set at least cancels 1 out, and the fact that both of these champions need to build health and armor can benefit the set overall with the ultimate. So I think can be a pretty smart idea.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you there, Sejuani. I think going into the jungle now, you gotta give set to the top lane here to go up against the Scion. I'm very excited to see now what GEB is going to be able to do with this set, because you have a lot of protection for it. Not only does the set itself have protection, but you've also got the Seraphine and the Rakan and the Sejuani to all give you just enough time for set to be able to deal the damage necessary to then get that massive true damage burst. And with the double charm coming in from Rakan Seraphine, the opportunity for a great amount of true damage to be unlocked here from that Haymaker is definitely there. So I'm very excited to see if GEB is going to be able to pull it off. But once again, SLK has a composition that has a lot of displacement, a lot of time in the air with multiple knockups, so that Loki Dosi and number 2 Ginger could have uninterrupted time to deal the damage necessary to take somebody out of the fight.
And I think for GEB as well, like you were pointing out, having such a consistent team fighting tool in this composition can be quite useful, because that's something that maybe the previous games they did have, but they didn't consistently play around with. This, as straightforward as you can get, ulti into ulti into ulti into ulti into ulti. You win the fight or you lose the fight. There may be some gray scenarios where maybe it works out differently, but the blueprint is that you play with your ultimates and you try to win with that. I think SLK still has the players to play off a composition like this, where there's a lot of damage that you may lose out if you don't play mechanically well enough. But I think that for what they like to do, this style of composition can work out really greatly. And I think the start of the game, the early portions, the early leads that they may be able to acquire for themselves are going to define a lot of this game, particularly in bot lane.
I'm going to predict a Mountain Drake just right off the bat, because I think both teams would love a Mountain Soul here in Game 3. But I got to ask you here, because Scion has a couple of opportunities to be able to build differently, depending on what SLK wants to go for. They could go for a split-pushing, inting, Hullbreaker Scion build and just be that siege damage and force GEB into a split-pushing composition themselves. Do you think that that is something that SLK is thinking about, or do you think that they are trying to go in for that 5v5?
I think based on what we've seen from genetics, that he's much more willing to opt into team fighting tools. But he also does like Sandors because, as we saw in the previous game with the puppy, he went for the Sandor build instead of opting for a much more traditional tank build on the puppy. So I wouldn't take it away that we may see much more of a damage-oriented Scion with tankiness involved in it as well. But I think the overall, just Sunfire, maybe Sunfire Titanic Hydra would be much more useful in the overall context of the game because you still don't want to be something that gets killed quite easily as a Scion.
Fair enough. It's a good point. That's a good point as well. And I think, looking at what Better Genetics has done in the series so far and how he's been able to come in and turn the tide of battle with his really strong ultimates, both as the Poppy and then just with the amount of health and the amount of resistances that he was able to provide when he was playing as the Mundo, there is definitely an opportunity for SLK to once again have a great team fighting composition and give themselves another victory. But Glacial Black, they're going with a very different composition. Well, they have some similar pieces with the Syndra and the Sejuani. The result of this draft is very different. A lot of AP here, only a single AD threat, albeit a very strong AD threat in that set. And that's something that they got to do. They got to bring out all the stops here in Game 3 to take it at least to a Game 4. Regardless of whether or not GEB wins this game, SLK is going to have advantage for the remainder of this series. If they lose this game, they will get side selection. If they win this game, they go into grand finals. So a lot riding on this game, not only for Glacial Esports Black, but for the VTS in general to decide potentially one of our grand finalists. TDS, Dragon Soul and Rift here for Game 3. It has been Ocean Drake now twice in a row. Do we get the third Ocean Drake?
I think not. I'm going Cloud again. Let's go Cloud.
You're going to go for Cloud. Chat, I want to know what you guys think the Soul and Rift is going to be. I chose a Mountain. TDS has chose Cloud. Regardless of what Drake it's going to be a fun match. We'll be right back, folks.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Welcome back, everybody, to the VTS. Game number 3 has now begun.
30 seconds
SLK
until minions
currently
spawn.
1 game away, potentially less than 30 minutes away from making another Grand Finals appearance here in the VTS with Glacial Black. They do not want to be 3-0'd in the postseason once again by the same team. That is not the goal. At least to get a win off of them is the play. I want to point out something here that I am very curious about. Silva, on this Seraphine, decided to go with a Flash Ghost.
Ooh,
Thoughts
like that.
on Flash Ghost here?
Like it. I think AD carries going much more into the Ghost is a smart idea because it can work out in almost every champion. It's lower cooldown than Flash, as I think a lot of people already know, and it also provides enough mobility that in fights, maybe even they can catch you with a Flash. Like there's champions that can barely catch you even with Flash on top of them. So I think the Ghost can be quite a smart option, and if it works out to allow you to reposition, then it's perfect. We have a pause, sadly, but it should be soon, I think.
You know, we've actually been very fortunate here this series. Not a lot of breaks, not a lot of pauses here. And this is the only and first delay of the game, and it lasts less than 10 seconds. So that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see as we get ourselves begun here with game number 3. SLK, you've got Learning Brain. Once again, a champion that can go for these very creative jungle paths. Now going to have to contend with Popeng as a Sejuani, who as well can go for some interesting pathing here. What's the strategy for Learning Brain to get the most effectiveness here out of the Zac?
So from Zac, early on, you can try and go for those level 3 ganks that come out of nowhere towards the bot lane, go buff to buff, and that way you just go into a lane and try and pull off a level 3 gank. Or you can make a chase with level 2 immediately. This works out better in mid lane because it's the lane that you can access the most, and I think I've seen it more coming from the red buff. So red buff into mid lane to try and get that level 2 gank. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but the majority of times you catch people out of guard because they don't expect it. But I think he's now going for that level 3 gank, potentially going for the Raptors. Actually going to go for a much wider clear, not something that's typically seen with a Zac.
Yeah, I know. Of course, you know, Zac with the living weapon, able to just survive a lot longer. Silva going to be taking a ton of damage there with Slide Lego. Is going to be able to keep the Seraphine alive. Meanwhile, on the top side of the Rift, Better Genetics is going to be down to less than 100 HP. Sprug coming through with the early power of the set. Not able to land the knockup here. Better Genetics has enough HP to be able to survive a dive at this point, but Sprug is going to try to go in. He's going to take a couple of short shots. He's going to be forced to flash away, and Better Genetics survives.
He has better genetics so far, and he proves it surviving that first attempt, but now Sejuani coming through. I think better genetics is smelling that out, and that's why he's waiting a little bit. Do you have...
Can he get the knockup? He will get hit by first blood. Popeng coming through. Very nicely done from Glacial Esports to get the first kill of the game up against Better Genetics as that Scion.
I think better genetics could have at least forced the Sejuani to come a little bit closer so that she can force the flash. You can force the flash. I think the set forcing the play here with the W, you sometimes get the kill, but the level up kind of messes up with the whole idea from Sprog. Doesn't get enough damage, shield comes in and denies the kill. But that also sets up for the Sejuani coming in, because as soon as the shield is down, there's barely anything that the Scion can do to survive the gank. And it works out perfectly for GEB.
Yeah, as we take a look at it once again, you know, Popeng is just able to dash in, doesn't get hit by the damage, and will take 2 turret shots for his efforts, but really is going to be okay. Meanwhile, Lokidosi is going to get rooted there in the bottom lane. It is a first strike once again for the Lucian, as Better Genetics is going to be targeted by a play. Does still have Flash available. Popeng also has Flash if they want to try to make something happen here. The Haymaker will drop. Better Genetics will survive, but is going to be down to less than 100 HP.
Not even close. He's completely fine running away, doesn't die. He has to back, but as long as he doesn't die, I think that that's completely fine, because in the bot side, the pressure from the Lucian is so high. Look at that, getting the first play. They are going to engage, but I think they may even force a kill. Ooh, they force Ignite out. That's actually good for GB.
Yeah, and Phoenix Main is going to take an extra turret shot as well. Not recognizing the ignite timer there. Learning Brain going to be able to get a little bit of a damage and a knock up in onto Sprug. Going to try to force him into a tough spot, but it's actually the set that wins out there. Just trying to harass him a little bit. Well, Better Genetics does come back. The fact that Better Genetics is having a tough game here early on means that Glacial Esports has a little bit more room to maneuver on the bottom side of the Rift, and that's something that they have been sorely lacking in this series so far.
That is true, but at the same time, this is kind of the thing that you expect when you counter-pick with the set, right? Like, you have to be able to get this sort of control. Obviously, most of the time, or at least sometimes, it doesn't work out like that, but it's when you do get the counter peak value and you are able to execute on it, you need to be this ahead or at least force the play to go in your favor. Oh, he misses the cannon again. I feel that pain.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, as a mid laner TDS, I'm sure you miss plenty of cannon minions.
There's a meme with me and my friends that it's a curse. I cannot play the game without missing a cannon at least twice.
Very good, very fun. As Better Genetics is going to be forced to flash away from Sly Lego coming through. We got 4 members of Glacial Black on the bottom, or on the top side of the Rift. The Herald is not up for another 90 seconds, so Sly Lego just coming through to provide a little bit of support. Yes, he does force the flash off of Better Genetics. But what is going to be the cost here in the bottom lane? Lokidosi going to take a little bit of damage from the turret, going to force Silva away. It is now a 20 CS advantage for Lokidosi.
Well, it's kind of the same one that is on the top lane as well, right? 20 CS per set, 20 CS for Lokidosi. The difference is that Lokidosi is getting the plates on top of that. So he's getting extra gold and he's a 9 Silva this CS. Now he's going to be able to collect. Or actually, he didn't get anything. So even better for the side of SLK. The Scion will now catch up a little bit in terms of CS, and as long as he keeps himself up in terms of experience as well, now level 6, shouldn't be the end of the world. Learning Brain though, I think we need to see a little more from him.
Yeah, we haven't seen a gank yet. He now is level 6, so Let's Bounce is on the table. He's going to see Scene and will clear out the ward in the Tri-Brush, but maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's looking to be able to go for it, and we are getting the pings to begin it. The knockup does not land onto anybody, but Sly Lego's going to get hit by the Aqua Prison. Be down to half HP, be able to walk away, but potentially Dragon on the table here.
But that burns the teleport out from his Scrog, and I'm not sure how Kaida Shure got his teleport blown out either. Both teleports are down, they may look for the regang. Sly Lego doesn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lokidosi's going to be able to take one, but we got Popane coming through, going to be able to get the knockup in onto the illusion. Lokidosi is extremely low. Oh my god, Lokidosi survived, and the number 2 Ginger is going to try to take down Kaida. The Evans slowly drops on Lokidosi, but Learning Brain will die. Kaidazor will come through. Popane goes in! Popane, what are you doing? Lokidosi wins that fight, and that is going to be 2 kills for the side of SLK. As number 2 Ginger is going to flash forward, going to try to pick up a kill here onto Kaidazor. Silva not yet level 6, no Encore to follow up. But at the end of the day, some really strange plays.
This is the SLK we know unlocked. Sly Lego walks into the bush expecting nothing to be there, gets committed, the kill gets collected by Lokidosi, which is really nice. But here, Silva hits level 6, I think, actually he doesn't have the anchor at that point. I was looking at it because I thought that there was an anchor. It's just a double stun. Really nicely done. Sack dies, which I think is fine because as a trade, I feel like you're comfortable giving up the sack instead of solution. But Popeng decides that it's not worth enough and he should die as well. Oh.
Learning Brain is going to die once again, though. Does have flash, but didn't use it. That's going to be Sprug picking up a kill there. So, hey, you know, this play for Learning Brain not necessarily working out the way that I think he thought it was going to.
Not at all, and a lot of that, of what affects this not working out for Learning Brain, is Sly Lego moving around. He pretty much decided that bot lane is over, you cannot do anything there. I'm going to just move around, allow for Seraphine to farm alone. Maybe she can get a little bit of CS and a little bit of experience by herself, and I will try and impact the other lane. Which, in a way, that can be smart. The only issue is that if you fail impacting the map, while Lucian is pretty much free farming and getting free plates, then you're losing out on quite a ton. Here comes Sly Lego though.
Culling will drop some damage in onto the Rakan with the shielding from Silva. and from Sly Lego is going to be enough to be able to keep them alive. Lokidosi will be able to back away as the Rift Herald was taken by Popang in the top side of the Rift, which is firmly in control of Glacial Esports. This is not a dominant route that SLK has here in this game. Popang has the Rift Herald. Popang drops the Rift Herald in the mid lane to give Kaidazor some gold here. And remember, this is a play, and this was the decision that number 2 Ginger had. He said, hey, I will go up against Kaidazor in the mid lane. Currently, they are very even. Both 0-0-1, almost even in CS. With the extra turret play gold coming through over to Kaidazor, that's going to be the first gold advantage for this mid laner here in this game.
It is something that did happen similarly in the previous game, where number 2 Ginger got the turret, I think, down before any other turret as well. I think it was the second turret taken down. So it's nothing new for number 2 Ginger in my eyes. And I feel like as long as he doesn't die, keeps farming up, gets his ulti, ooh, that was close.
Yeah, very good scat of the week, but it will be the elastic arms landing there. Not going to be enough to be able to take down Kaidazor. No flash was used, so nicely done from Kaidazor to recognize the timing on that. You expect that to happen when you are at the level of play that we are at. Haymaker will drop in the 1v1. Yes, Sprug does have a little bit of an advantage here, but Better Genetics at this point, really not caring, is just trying to do what damage he can and avoid being too far behind here.
He may be 1,000 gold behind, but he's also a tank. So as long as that's the name of the game, he's, I think, fine with it. He also will have the body later on to be able to impact. Oh, you need to run away here, though.
Yeah, Better Genetics. That's going to be 3 members going through. A great utilization there of the ultimate to get away. Will be just ultimate for ultimate there at the end of the day.
Good timing from Better Genetics, forces out the ultimate, and once again, timing on the play. They move around the Rakan, as we were talking about here. Silva, yep.
Dead. Yeah, you have sacked the bottom side of the Rift. Lokidosi will once again be fed in this game to try to carry this series, and is looking to be able to pick up another turret plate before the 14-minute mark. We got Learning Brain going in the elastic string shot. Lokidosi is going to be the target, though. Sly Lego goes in with the quickness, is not able to come through as Kaidazor is going to be able to take down Learning Brain. Lokidosi does take down Kaidazor in the 1v1. Sly Lego survives. Phoenix Bane is going to try to pick up the kill there.
No,
it doesn't. It's a double kill for Popang. Sly Lego survives, and it's a shutdown against Lokidosi. 4 kills for GEB.
I swear, worst item in the game. I hate it so much, but it's so effective when you can use it as well. And Sly Lego survives thanks to that stopwatch. They were looking for the play. I thought that the play is fine to pull up if they had the sack passive, but they don't have it. Sack goes in, gets the push, okay, perfect. But Sly Lego already forces out the Lucian without really accomplishing much in the fight. Sack dies. I thought he had passive. He didn't. They kill the Syndra, perfect, but Sly Lego doesn't die, and then Open just finds such a perfect angle to get the kill. Not even here Phoenix Main is able to get the kill. That's so unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, had Sly Lego died there, it might have been a little bit of a different story, but you do get a shutdown and a ton of gold over to Popang. Now, once again, however, it is the tank of your squad that is getting the shutdown gold, that has the massive gold advantage here. So, is it the most value? We'll have to wait and see, but for now, Lokidosi is still the richest person on the Rift. He's 4-1-0, picked up 4 turret plates, and is in a decent spot.
I'm pretty sure that he's going to still be fine, even if they gave up some gold in the previous play, particularly because as long as he can get on top of certain targets, they are going to die. Yes, Poping is strong, yes, they have 1,000 gold lead in their favor, particularly because the bot lane turret didn't die, so nobody collected that first turret gold just yet, but it's still such a difficult situation to be facing in, because now the Lucian can really just dive into almost anyone, apart from maybe Kaidashura, because I feel like Kaidashura can one-shot him pretty quickly. Oh
boy, speaking of Kaidashura, gonna get hit by the Gravity Well. Chaos Storm drops in tow, and the knockup from Learning Brain, easy kill for SLK.
I don't think that counts as a caster curse, so I'm not going to mention it as a caster curse, but it's still quite unlucky for Kaidashura. And it's also before the dragon spawns, just before 20 seconds. She will be able to come back, teleport is up, but I'm not sure if the side of SLK wants to fight this.
Maybe not. Lokidosi will be able to collect on the first tower gold of the game, and will add to that gold lead. 4 seconds remaining until the dragon spawns. It looks like Learning Brain is going to commit to it, and it does look like they will try to go for this one here. The false side alteration will drop. Popeng does have the frozen tomb, and now Learning Brain is going to be in trouble. Will utilize the elastic slingshot to get away. The gravity will come through, and now Scrug is all alone.
Lokidosi
going to be hit by the knockup. Lokidosi ignited. He's able to get away. Slime Lego is low, and there is no response here from Better Genetics, who does not have flash. Popeng is going to be able to pick up the dragon. Scrug is in a tough spot as we get a mountain break. I am right for the only time in this series so far. No one on GEB dies. They get the dragon, and Better Genetics is going to exchange the dragon with that top tier 1 tower.
I'm not sure all in all who it benefits the most. They are going to get mid lane turret. The dragon, they were already 1 dragon ahead as SLK, so giving up this second dragon isn't necessarily the most impactful. The fact that Lokidosi doesn't die, I think that's one of the biggest issues here for GEB, because that amount of gold going into the pockets of Squad was going to be a pretty big turnaround, especially being the main 80 damage dealer. That's something that you actually need to bank on eventually. But it's a pretty equal trade when you think about it, because it's not like they didn't get anything back. They get a dragon and a turret, but they also lost out on the turret in top lane, and it allowed for Better Genetics to catch up a little bit to that set.
Yeah, despite that though, you know, it is SLK who is holding on to their strategy here. They are fighting at neutral objectives. They are on the neutral objectives as quickly as possible, and they will be able to pick up the second Rift Herald here. So, before the 20-minute mark, it is an even game in terms of neutral objectives. You get 1 dragon and 1 Rift Herald each, though to be fair, I think, you know, it is GEB with a slight advantage in that regard, because Popeng did get the first Rift Herald, which resulted in that mid-tier 1 tower going down. Yeah. Phoenix Man is going to get hit by the roof, but that doesn't mean that anyone else dies. Lokidosi is going to try to come through. Who will be able to pick up the red buff here? Is number 2 Ginger is going to get rooted. It's going to be the tidal wave dropped, but no response from either team. Red buff goes to Popeng.
For the commitment, I think a pretty insignificant value that the side of SLK gets, because that's completely not worth it. You utilize one of your ultimates, you put too many people to try and fight for a red buff, and at the end you still lose it, and you can even put pressure on the important part. So Lokidosi.
Okay, Phoenix Man is going to be forced to flash away. He does not have his tidal wave now. We've got the play on the Phoenix Man, and Phoenix Man is going to die because you're going to get the prison landing on the Lokidosi, who dies. Kaidazor is going to pick up that kill. The Chaos Storm is going to drop. Number 2 Ginger is the next target, and will go down as well. A great roam from Scrug is going to be able to pick up 3 kills for Glacial Esports. And Better Genetics is not there in time to save the day. They might even be able to get a tower here. Not quite enough minions to be able to make it happen, but a great play from Glacial Black.
Shouldn't turn into a turret at all, but this is the issue. They commit the tidal wave already previously. They tried to force this play here. They don't have the value. Nobody's ready to respond on the side of SLK, and it's just such an easy play to pull up. Even with the flash, Lokidosi ends up getting completely destroyed here thanks to the ultimate. I think that pretty big misplay from Lokidosi, trying to continue a fight that is never going to stack anything up. And they just get punished. Great play by the side of GEB. Complete disrespect from SLK, and they just simply pay the price for that.
They definitely do, and that's going to mean that SLK does not get that gold advantage, that significant gold advantage on Lokidosi that they had in previous games. SLK is behind in gold and is in a tough position here for the first time in this series at the 20-minute mark. A 700 gold lead for Glacial Black means that, you know, they have survived the early game and are in control, and they can make plays to maneuver around the map, which is exactly what they've been doing so far. Yes, they lose towers and turrets. Yes, they lose a couple of kills, but overall, they are performing exceptionally well in a game that they must win.
They are trying to turn around the story of this match, and it's working out so well so far. They have the gold lead, they have the kill lead, they have champions now that are hitting important power spikes. the set as soon as he hits the mythic. That's going to be another important turnaround because it's a lot of value that you are going to get. And now it's a lot on Lokidosi, like it was previously, but it's still a lot on Lokidosi because you're not only one of the main damage dealers, but the Victor still needs some time to find that spot where he was in the previous game. So it's going to be on you to not only be able to deal damage, but if you die, that can be the hopes and dreams of SLK in that fight.
And so now what is the play for SLK here? I talked and I lauded earlier on that, even when they are in difficult positions, their directive and their objective is pretty much in control here. Look at the top lane. Sprug is going to be roaming down with better genetics. Sprug currently 2-0-2. Can be the deciding factor in this game if he's able to land a great showstopper. And we are going to get the teleport to come through. It is going to get canceled by better genetics. So very nicely done from better genetics to deny that play as the Glacial Prison does not land. Hoping is now in trouble. He doesn't have flash. He doesn't have ghost. But he is able to walk out of this one. The Chaos Room is going to be used by number 2 Ginger, will not be available. And Sprug has arrived on the case. Haymaker is ready, but we got no Glacial Prison and now no teleport for this set.
Sejuani is now pushing the bot lane wave, which I think is not a bad idea. But a couple of ultimates were used. Teleport is down by the set, like you were pointing out. I think there's a good spot to try and force a fight. Sejuani
and they are going to try to go in here. Sprug is going to be the target, but will be able to get away with a nice flash. No ultimate defense genetics, so he isn't able to find anything here as Learning Brain does have the revive. Hoping is still seen on the bottom side of the rift, and Sprug is going to go back. Sly Lego going to be down to half HP. Better Genetic is going to try to keep everyone off of the Dragon Pit. Are they going to try to go for it, though? It does look like they have started it. Silva has Encore. Sly Lego does have quickness, so if they are able to go in and they are able to pick out Lokidosi, that would be the play. They get the charm and the land on the Sly Lego, who's going to be for the flash wave. The storm does not land. Hoping is going to be targeted, and he is very low. Oh my god, Sly Lego does not go down there.
Lokidosi, though.
A lot of damage on the Lokidosi. Lokidosi dies.
Oh, he's done. What?
Lokidosi is not dead. Lokidosi survived. I can't believe
what?
it! Lokidosi gets the shutdown onto Sprug. Better Genetic takes out Idazor. And that is
what?
a race for SLK. Oh my god! I can't believe it. I don't believe it.
I'm never calling Lokidosi that again in my life. That makes absolutely no sense. This fight was way too out of place. Like everything was so abnormal, but they still were forcing it. There was still a numbers advantage for the side of SLK. They never killed the Rakan in time as Lokidosi. This ultimate should have been death sentence, but not enough damage, just enough to survive. They don't have Haymaker anymore as Sprog. He cannot kill the Lucian. That last stick on the last two out attacks from the passive of the Lucian was enough, and then here, it almost felt like maybe it didn't happen. Lokidosi is unkillable, and that is an SLK team fight win.
I do not believe that Lokidosi survived there. What? It has to be lucky there. That is a lucky play for Lokidosi. Less than 10 HP. That health bar was gone in that fight. Literally gone. But he does not go down there, and now he has a 4,000 gold lead against Silva as this Seraphine. 3 item power spike for the solution. They can go for a play if they want to. And they have also been able to get the gold lead here as number 2 Ginger is going to get hit by the quickness and the damage. Will he be able to take anyone down with him? That's a lot of damage. Number 2 Ginger is able to take down Sly Lego, and now we got better genetics. Teleport, that's going to be another kill against Polteg. Learning Great is still alive. He does have the revive. The Encore is going to land on Jimmy Ming. Hadazor did not get hit by the Aqua Prism, but here comes Lokidosi to end everyone's life. A triple kill, a quadra kill for Better Genetics as the Scion.
A quadra kill for Better Genetics. He survived for as long as possible in that laning phase, and now he's playing the game. It's a true tank game. He gets the button. They commit everything to kill number 2 Ginger here in this play. And I respect it. Yeah, I think this is the thing that you have to look forward to. But everyone this time around was ready to answer. Lokidosi is coming up with the Nami. Zion teleports in perfectly. They take too long to kill number 2 Ginger. And then importantly, yes, they may have gotten so much value, but you're killing a sack with passive. Phoenix main may have died, but already kind of allowed for the Lucian to get the extra value off his passive. And that's where you win the fight. Great team fight by SLK. I like the attempt by GEB, but it's just, it feels like SLK has the answers almost every time.
I mean, once again, I mean, you said it before, it feels like GEB is just now on a desperate situation here. Glacial Esports now without a chance to get Baron. Another 2.5 minutes here on the Baron for SLK. They can now start to pick up the gold that is laying in wait on the map. They will not be able to get the kill in on to Popeng, who will be able to escape. A Learning Brain is going to try to go in, and Silva looking to be able to take the 1v1. He will not have a chance. Lokidosi will just take that easy kill now, 6-2 and 4. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the rift, number 2 Ginger is going to deal that damage against the top or the bottom tier 2 tower. Popeng is going to try to do what he can, but it doesn't really feel like there's much that Glacial Esports can do. It's going to be another objective win for SLK.
They just have enough power to be pushing this lane. They have the power in the bot lane, they have the power in the mid lane with 2 champions. Sion barely feels a tickle. Rock, you're taking much more damage than you want to take here.
Yeah, with Haymaker down, that means that GEB is forced to escape, route themselves back into the tower or into their base. Objective bounties are now available. That is how quickly this game has collapsed for Glacial Esports, who once had the gold advantage, who were once looking so good. They now lose the mid tier, the mid inhibitor, as the push is going to get dropped from Sly Lego, trying to be able to do what they can. That's the kill on the Copper, and that's the damage. Oh my god, it's a triple kill for number 2 Ginger to end the game. Yes, number 2 Ginger goes down, but it is GGWP. We have SOK for the second series and the second BTS in a row to make it into grand finals.
Doing an amazing job. You cannot say anything less from SLK. There were hard moments in this game. GEB had the opportunity. They actually were in control at some point, but SLK just has that it factor that turns around these games and makes it and makes them theirs. They just simply have it, and they carry out so effectively. For the second time in a row, like you're pointing out, SLK will be going to the grand finals, and deservedly so. They are such a good team.
I mean, well-deserved for SLK. Shining Light Knights will take the 3-0 victory against Glacial Esports Black for the second tournament in a row. They will be able to take down GEB when it matters most and will win out in that 3-0 fashion. Like you said, Glacial Esports with their most promising game of the series here in Game 3, but unfortunately, I mean, Lokidosi being able to survive that team fight. I cannot believe that he was able to survive that team fight, but once that happened, GEB was just in a tough position. They didn't win their last team fight at the top lane, and at that point, you give a triple kill over to number 2 Ginger, a quadra kill over to Better Genetics, well-deserved as my player of the series.
True. I think Lokidosi could be argued, but certainly Better Genetics played so well the 3 games. To me, he won the second game with clutch team fighting ultimates, and in the third game, knew to, this may sound kind of bad, take it and then turn it around later on. So that's the kind of playstyle that you want to see from a top laner.
I mean, with that being said, though, Glacial Esports, they're going to be the ones that are going to be eliminated here, and it's SLK that makes it into grand finals for a back-to-back VTS win here. If they're able to win this one, they will prove themselves as the team of 2022. They cannot be stopped, and they are looking to be able to make it happen. I am very excited to see if they're going to be able to take the grand finals win. They said it in their post-game interview last week that it was going to be a 3-0 all the way to grand finals, and they have delivered upon that here once again. I wonder if they're going to be able to 3-0 whoever is going to be the other grand finalist here from the other side of the bracket. But with that being said, another quick series win for SLK. TDS, any final thoughts on this series?
SLK feel like the deserving winners. Certainly, they played really well, consistently. They knew what they wanted to do, and they did it. There are mistakes here and there, but that always happens to any team. And as long as they can correct them, they can still be such a strong force to be reckoned with. Glacial, I think that deserve a spot in the semifinals. I don't think that they are a bad team in any way. And a 3-0 maybe is a disservice to how the series in a way went. Apart from the first game, the other two were really competitive. And I think that the second one was, to me, the game that they could have taken, much more so. So I still feel like they are such a strong team to be scared about, and hopefully they come back so that we can see more of them together.
I hope so as well. Glacial Esports, I mean, they are one of the most active teams in the amateur metaverse, and they have teams spawning all the way from IBS all the way up to the Diamond Master level. So congratulations for GEB to be able to make it to the semifinals. Unfortunately, they will not be a repeat Grand Finals appearance, as much as we would love to have seen it. But SLK is going to make it into the Grand Finals. We'll see them next week to see if they can hold on to their crown. Before TDS and I go, want to give a quick shout out once again to Dan from Discord for being a phenomenal producer across the pond. It is like 3 a.m. or something like that where he's at. He said that he has been up for like 24 hours. So thank you, Dan, for being there for us once again while Gurf recovers from his illness. If you guys have enjoyed the content here from Victoris, drop a follow or a subscribe on the Twitch channel. Join the Discord to stay up to date on all of the Valorant and League of Legends content that they provide. And if you guys are enjoying the content that you're seeing from Moose and TDS, you can do so by following our Twitters, which are on the bottom of our faces. You guys can follow us there. That would be greatly appreciated. But with that being said, we're going to take it over to the other side of the production team, the analyst desk. Kevbo, Quintic, take it away.
All right, here we are. After that third game, it was the best look. It was a half decent look, but not enough in the end for Glacial Esports Black. As I have been informed that we are actually getting a special guest on to the analyst desk for a little bit of an interview. But first, we're going to start by breaking down that game. I think it also is important to shout out that the MVP poll is running right now. There's only 5 people of the 31 of you that are in here that have voted. Go get your vote in. I think I personally stand with TDS. The Poppy game in Game 2 was absolutely phenomenal. And just really good weak side play. I mean, the Mundo in the first game also kind of disgusting. Mundo goes where he pleases. I personally voted for Genetics. Quinn, thoughts on MVP?
I mean, for me, it's kind of a toss-up between Better Genetics and Loki Doki. I think both played pretty admirably. Consistently generating advantages. Consistently performing well in the team fights, like outputting what their team needed them to output. So I kind of just flipped a coin and voted for Genetics. Yeah, that's pretty much all. I mean, the whole team played pretty well as a whole. And I've got no more to say on this because I always forget to actually think about MVP.
Well, we do have our special guest here after the second game. Just need to unmute themselves. Number 2 Ginger here. Talk about their win 3-0 over Glacial Esports Black. How does it feel to win yet again against GEB?
Hey, expected, honestly.
When you've done something once, it's easy to expect the same outcome. But overall, a pretty interesting series. It was a pretty quick series in all of the games, I think. The mid lane matchup, though, I think was pretty back and forth, at least in lane. It did seem for the most part. Any thoughts on that individual matchup in the mid lane, Ginger?
Yeah, I mean, their mid laner is just a control mage player, so we just kind of got down to the point of we'll give them a better, we'll like just blind Victor and let our sides just kind of dominate. And in game 2, he couldn't get a CS lead on me in a winning matchup or like a first strike gold lead. so we just did it again, and they just opted into it again for whatever reason. I mean, I'm not gonna go out there and say I won lane. I think you played lane like fine, but if you're taking counterpick and there's not a 20 CS lead or like a level lead or a pressure lead or something, we're completely okay. When I know we're very reliant on each other. I know for a fact that game that my bot lane and my top lane can win very hard. So we're completely okay just sacking me on a scaling champion. Going even in lane and just dominating sides and taking over the late game.
So we actually heard something very similar last week with Better Genetics on the interview. Would you say that it's like really that trust between each other, like that's contributing to most of your wins, that's allowing you to just kind of put yourselves in maybe slightly more dangerous situations and trust that you're going to come out on top?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all really good at picking up for each other's slack. I think whenever someone has a bad game, everyone else kind of has a drive in them to pick it up for them, and because they know if the situation were reversed, the same thing would happen. We've all been playing together for 5 months at this point. Everyone besides Justin or Learning Brain. So we have a lot of trust to each other. We know how we all function, and I think we also have very good win con understandings of our draft, especially thanks to our coach to kind of drill that into our mind. And I think all that combined with the experience, with just the confidence that we're better players consistently, really just makes it hard to lose games.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. It's like it feels like one could even argue it's kind of like an ego thing, but no, it's just the way you're communicating. It just feels like raw confidence. You just have full faith in each other. Right?
I mean, I'm of the opinion that if you don't have the mentality that you're better than who you're playing against and have the confidence, you're going to play significantly worse.
Yeah, I feel that entirely.
I did want to quickly, though, ask just a couple questions about specifically draft. A lot of Victor priority, like you said, kind of explained that one. Really, is just that handshake into a controlled mage player. Something that I myself was really shocked by was both teams not having really any priority on Maokai at all, and it seems like something that is really, really strong right now that neither team really wanted to play.
I'm going to disagree with you. The champion has no presence at Worlds and the 20% win rate. After the groups, every East team kind of dropped it, and he got nerfed this patch. It just seems like he was a strong tank that people had to figure out how to play against for a patch, and then he fell off the face of the earth. We never really thought he was great. We just practiced some counter picks into it, played some scrims purposely into it, learned how to play against it, and I think a lot of players don't want to play him either because he's boring as hell. And I mean, let's be real, we're playing in a Masters League here. No one wants to meta slave. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Fair enough.
And the last question I have about draft. Blitzcrank jungle win.
Stop.
We did bring it up. We did mention it. We have a few games on it. It's kind of our game 5 pick. We're not expecting finals to go to game 5, so I'm willing to leak that information. But we'll have it prepared.
But it is actually something they've been prepping, which I love. Absolute homies over there on SOK. Phenomenal stuff. Quinn, you have any other questions you'd like to ask? Any thoughts on the series?
No, I mean, I'm a notoriously weak interviewer, so I've got nothing more.
Well, anything else you yourself would like to say while you're on the desk here, number 2, Ginger?
Yeah, I mean, just shout-outs to all my team members, shout-outs to my coach. It's a very, very fun just getting carried every game by my team. My coach just draft capping every single game. I mean, it's kind of boring going into every match knowing it's just going to 3-0. We expect the same for finals. If we're against Coconut Kissers, it might be 3-1, 3-2. I thought they were pretty good when we played them. Diversity looks whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just ready for next week. Shout outs to Silver for trash talking and then getting curb stomped. That was fun. And yeah, thank you guys for doing the cast.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, all right.
With that, I think Quinn and I just have a couple more points to talk about. Of course, I think it is time to talk about our series MVP. It is going to end up being Genetics in that top side with a pretty stellar performance over the series. Like we said, I think really showed up in games 1 and 3, the quadra kill. I said it to Quinn behind the scenes, but I think it's important to say here too. That quadra kill, it looked close. It really looked like, I'm gonna be honest, it looked like one of those moments where Luigi wins by doing nothing. He kind of just pressed Q a couple times and autoed and got lucky that Lucian didn't get the kill. But either way, still really fun, kind of funny Scion quadra kill there in the third game.
I mean, the man just won MVP, and you're immediately saying like, yeah, I didn't really do very much. It is what it is. But
Oh no, he did a lot, but that quadra kill, he won by smashing his face on the keyboard and walking at them. So 11, 3, and 20 over this series though is pretty impressive.
Well, yeah. I mean, deserved MVP, good performance throughout the series. Congratulations to SLK for moving on to Grand Finals. They are full of confidence. They have faith in each other. Any one of them can step up to carry, as we talked about on the analyst desk at the very beginning of this stream today. And today, Genetics happened to be one of those to step up. So, congratulations to him. Kevbo, we have a few points to talk about regarding the Glacial Esports side of the game today. So I guess we can kind of start with the draft. You and I were definitely a little disoriented when Rakan came out on R2, right? So I'm going to be real with you guys. I think there's like 2, maybe 3 blind pickable melee supports in the game right now. To me, Rakan is like absolutely not one of those. And I understand that if you're going into game 3, you just want like optimal comfort and you're just trying to make something work here. But if you're playing like a known defensive champion who doesn't have like that kind of burst protection against proven Lucian Nami players, you just end up with this kind of like hole developing, because like who is going to actually protect any of your bot lane picks? Like now that Rakan is locked in, if the Lucian Nami comes out. Once you're paired with Seraphine, especially with her not taking TP, like we saw that CS lead start to develop, like Seraphine started bleeding out as Rakan kind of had to just be a spectator in the lane. It's just kind of unfortunate that occurred in a game where Glacial Esports actually had so many legitimate advantages on the opposite side of their map, that they had like this massive hole going for them in the bot lane.
The set really had an opportunity, I think, to get ahead. Did kind of get built out there a little bit in the early game with some nice ganks, but also set pretty strong. Of course, did just get recently nerfed. We were, I think, both surprised when they hovered the Fiora and then didn't lock it in against the Scion. But, you know, going to something that's a little bit more comfortable, still wasn't able to get too much done on it. And I think also, we talked about behind the scenes, had a lot of opportunities to get maybe some TP flanks and just didn't go for them.
Right. So if we're going to opt for the set rather than the Fiora, which, you know, I see this draft where we have catch potential, double enchanter bot lane effectively. Something that's obviously trying to play into top side. And the obvious response to having nobody on your team who can build a Kraken Slayer is to take the double tank. So if you're going to run like the set over the primary carry of Fiora, I'd like to see a bit more creativity. It really felt like Glacial Esports was playing tilted. We asked for more specificity in the plays that they were running, like more awareness of what each of their champions' roles were, more awareness of like where their allies are on initiation. But we end up seeing Rakan start fights without immediate follow-up from teammates because it's not time to initiate yet. We see while SLK are pushing forwards towards the middle inhibitor, so many red vision wards like placed behind them, like near the river, near buff bushes, something where Seth can just take that flank, and yet they're choosing instead to go for like the purest form of front to back, which Set would struggle to access, right? Even if you're running them, like they even have the matchup of Sejuani into Zac, and Sejuani's not playing for the Q interrupts, which is the most dominant aspect of that matchup, right? It felt like GEB were just, I don't want to say just rolling over and losing, like just saying, oh, screw it, let's fight here and see what happens. But like, it felt that as we on the analyst desk started to have more and more hope for GEB developing their style and their roles throughout the series, that they started to have like less hope in themselves. And as Ginger said in the interview, it's like, and as I've experienced firsthand throughout this split of competitive play, the moment you lose confidence in yourself, like your gameplay becomes genuinely atrocious. Like if you have no faith in yourself, you're not problem solving. And if you're not problem solving, you're just approaching things from the most direct method possible. And that doesn't give you the winning interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a little bit of a tilted game 3, but either way, big shout outs to SOK going 3-0, pretty dominant, looking to absolutely run this bracket at the moment. Interested to see who their opponent will be. It will either be Glaive or Coconut Kissers. I definitely think that there's a fan favorite in those two, but there's a lot riding on the line either way, and they will have a tough task ahead of them in SLK meeting in finals. With that, I think we are about ready to go. I just want to open up the floor. Any last comments, Quinn?
SLK are talking about how they expect most series to be a 3-0. I think it would be a shame to have that continue for us in Grand Finals. I hope whoever makes it to Grand Finals puts up a very big fight, because SLK is looking really dominant. And I think it would be a little bit depressing for us to see them like take the trophy without like a really good fight next week.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I think we are about ready to go. Be sure that if you enjoyed today, that you check back in next week for our grand finals. It's going to be super hype, regardless of who ends up there alongside SLK. As always, there are other tournaments going on throughout the week, so be sure to check those out. I know you can see Quinn play in the finals of VRD, I believe, on Tuesday, so that'll be super fun.
Yeah, let's hope I can approach that with confidence too.
But be sure to check out the rest of the stuff. I want to give a big shout out to all of our production. Dan from Discord stepping up big today. I'm sure very antsy to get to bed. Be sure to check out all of our socials. Quinn has a huge following on YouTube and Twitch, so be sure to go check those out for any banger content. I even managed to make one of the videos somehow. That's what happens when you play AP Blitzcrank. So anyways, be sure to check out all of our socials, Twitch and Twitter for both me and Quinn. Be sure to check out the rest of Victoris' content. Twitter is always where you can find out when games are, who will be on in those games, and what the talents will look like. But with that, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be catching you all next week for our grand finals between SLK and yet to be determined.
Lego is going to go in. He's not yet level 6. He's not yet level 6. He's level 5. He's going to be double class. He'll be able to secure it. Soba is now going to be in trouble. Oh man, Sly Lego not going for the play that they wanted. Now Learning Brain is going to try to finish the job here. This would be a huge win for SLK if they are able to get it. They're pushing forward the lane. They're looking to go for the dive. Soba does have Flash, trying to be able to find it here, but is not, actually is unable to escape. Will utilize the Flash. Sly Lego to go down, because that's the only way that Silva dies here. I mean, it was very close. Learning Brain had to use Flash to get away from the towers. You can take a look on your screen.
Really like that Learning Brain also didn't just immediately use the E, but instead utilized the Winter Comes Lightning first to secure the slow, and then also in case the Kai'Sa ends up running away on the other side like she did.
Okay, we got another play here at the bottom lane. Sly Lego and Silva have been bullied this entire series, and it will not stop now. Loki Dose will pick up number 2 Ginger is able to roll up to the mid lane, and Better Genetics survives. First kill for number 2 Ginger in this game, and now they may be looking to push forward here.
I was ready to give up on better genetics because it was looking quite doomed. But at the same time, great turnaround. They get the flash in. Oh, Loki dozy.
Okay, nice ward there. And now Lego once again going in with the Zenith Blade is going to land a lot of damage on the Phoenix main. And that's the Heartbreaker. Popeng does not get the reset. Loki Dosi will take down one. Lego is next. It's a double kill. Allowing for better genetics to pick up that tower here. We'll have to wait to see when the play is. That they are going to land Glacial Prism on the Phoenix main. Phoenix main is going to be the target. We got a lot of damage now onto this Nami, and Nami will fall. That's going to be one kill for GEB, but it's going to be a 1-for-1. It's better genetics. He's going to come through with the teleport. Loki Dosi,
I think he's dead. Yeah.
He's going to go down. Popeng is able to pick up those kills, and that is a big play here for GEB. Learning Grid is going to try to do what he can on the way out, but he is not long for this world. It is going to be an ace for GEB who come back. Well, it does.
Was so lacking compared to the Viego. And Viego with resets, we know how much of a monster he can be.
I mean, really an incredible setup there from Glacial Black. Lego being able to drop those wards inside the jungle with the assistance of Popeng meant that they were able to find vision on Loki Dosi and Phoenix main, and that is enough for them to be able to pick up that kill. But we are not done with the fighting yet, though. Lego is going to go in. The Zenith Blade is going to come through, but it is going to be Learning Grade picking up one. Go down, make it a 1-for-1, make it a 2-for-1, as Kaidazor is going to take down Learning. Dosi is going to be all alone here, as Popeng is going to try to go in with a Heartbreaker and take a little bit of damage on the way up, but Loki Dosi maybe not enough to be able to pick up a kill here. Glacial Esports is trying to go for Baron, and we got better genetics on the way. Let's see if they're going to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, number 2 Ginger is poking quite effectively. They don't have the Glacial Attrition on the Sejuani. This is the best spot to fight.
Oh my god,
such a good fight.
With a great keeper's verdict. That means Sejuani is going to be out of the fight.
Ginger's still alive as well.
Dead. Shut down
Oh
number
no.
2 Ginger. Better genetics has better genetics. I think wants to play here. It's a 4,000 gold lead for SLK, but it is not close enough. We're not done yet here. GEB wants to win this game, and they have a chance to do it. Learning Grade is going to be the target, going to be hit by a lot of damage. A great tidal wave from Phoenix main, but it's Loki Dosi trying to go through. He's going to try to get away. He'll get shut down. That's going to be a lot of damage there from Kaidazor, who's going to be able to get away. He's going to take down Popeng upstream. Meanwhile, Phoenix main trying to be able to survive. Better genetics going to take down the Nami, as the Ginger is now extremely low. Scrug is low. Silva is low. Everybody is low, but at the end of the day, they do have a significant tower advantage, or not a significant tower advantage, but they do have the mid and top tier 2 towers down. They have an opportunity to potentially go for a play here soon, but let's see what happens as Loki Dosi is going to potentially be the target here from Sprug. That is a nice off the Prism. The Blade Prism is going to land from Loki Dosi. He's going to be able to get away. Nice cleanse from the Lucian.
A little
bit of damage. Oh my god,
Loki Dosi's dead. Or not? What?
Loki Dosi survives the play. Popeng goes down. Better Genetics is not able to secure it. And Lego will reward them Baron with the dragon up in 30 seconds. But we are not done with the fight yet. As Loki Dosi is targeted with Glacial Prism once again. He'll be able to avoid it this time. Lego is getting targeted over the left as well. And he will go down.
Look, Dosi has the flash.
The take out of the fight. And everyone else is up in the water. Number 2 is going to take down one. Silver will take down Loki Dosi. Going to be an ace for SLK, and maybe even the end of the game. GEB put up a fight, but they will get ace once again, and better genetics.
Dosi ends up turning himself as the bait of SLK. It felt like he was the main way to try and win every other fight, but it's still better genetics finding so much value. Number 2 Ginger as well has the damage, and they are able to actually take this fight and more than likely close out this game. 10 seconds for Popeng, though maybe Lego can buy enough time. They just need to keep pushing, honestly. They don't need to even kill the Leon.
Yeah, Leona's not going to be able to put up much of a fight here. That's going to be the Aqua Prison to add to the stats. And there it is. SLK. Genetics is going to be down to less than 100 HP. Sprug coming through with the early power of the set. Not able to land the knock up here. Better Genetics has enough HP to be able to survive a dive at this point, but Sprug is going to try to go in. He's going to take a couple of short shots. He's going to be forced to flash away, and Better Genetics survives.
He has better genetics so far, and he proves it surviving that first attempt, but now Sejuani coming through. I think better genetics is smelling that out, and that's why he's waiting a little bit. Do you have...
Can he get the knockup? He will get hit by first.
How kinda sure it was got his teleport blown as either. Both teleports are down, they may look for the regain. Sly Lego doesn't know.
Okay. Loki knows he's gonna be able to take one, but we got Popane coming through, gonna be able to get the knockup in onto the illusion. Loki knows he's extremely low. Oh my god, Loki knows he survives, and the number 2 Ginger is gonna try to take down Kaido. The other slowly drops on Loki Dosi, but Learning Brain will die. Kaido will come through. Popane goes in. Popane, what are you doing? Dead. Yeah, you have sacked the bottom side of the rift. Loki Dosi will once again be fed in this game to try to carry this series and is looking to be able to pick up another turret plate before the 14-minute mark. We got Learning Brain going in the elastic string shot. Loki Dosi is going to be the target though. As Sly Lego goes in with the quickness, is not able to come through as Kaidazor is going to be able to take down Learning Brain. Loki Dosi does take down Kaidazor in the 1v1. Sly Lego survives. Phoenix Man is going to try to pick up the kill there.
No,
it doesn't. It's a double kill for Popane. Sly Lego survives.
The side of SLK gets, because that's completely not worth it. You utilize one of your ultimates, you put too many people to try and fight for a red buff, and at the end you still lose it, and you can even put pressure on the important part. So Loki Dosi.
Okay, Phoenix Man is going to be forced to flash away. He does not have his tidal wave now. We've got the play on the Phoenix Man, and Phoenix Man is going to die because you're going to be the glitch person landing on the Loki Dosi who dies. Kaidazor is going to pick up that kill. The Chaos Storm is going to drop. Number 2 Ginger is the next target, and will go down as well. A great throw from Sprug is going to be able to pick up 3 kills like they have started it. Silva has Encore. Sly Lego does have quickness, so if they are able to go in and they are able to pick out Loki Dosi, that would be the play. They get the charm and the land on the Sly Lego, who's going to be forced to flash away. The storm does not land. Popane is going to be targeted, and he is very low. Oh my god, Sly Lego does not go down there.
Loki Dosi though.
A lot of damage on the Loki Dosi. Loki Dosi dies.
Oh, he's done. What?
Loki Dosi is not dead. Loki Dosi survived. I can't believe it.
What?
Loki Dosi gets the shutdown onto Sprug. Genetic takes down Kaidazor. And that is
What?
a race for S against Silva as this Seraphine. 3 item power spike for the solution. They can go for a play if they want to. And they have also been able to get the gold lead here as number 2 Ginger is going to get hit by the quickness and the damage. Will he be able to take anyone down with him? That's a lot of damage. Number 2 Ginger is able to take down Sly Lego, and now we got better genetics. Teleport, that's going to be another kill against Popane. Learning Brain is still alive. He does have the revive. The Encore is going to land on a Jimmy Bank. Kaidazor did not get hit by the Aqua Prism, but here comes Loki Dosi to end everyone's life. A triple kill. That is how quickly this game has collapsed for Glacial Esports, who once had the gold advantage, who were once looking so good. They now lose the mid inhibitor as the Christian's going to get dropped from Sly Lego, trying to be able to do what they can. That's the kill on Copper, and that's the damage. Oh my god, it's a triple kill for number 2 Ginger to end the game. Yes, number 2 Ginger goes down, but it is GGWP. We have SOK for the second series, and Sly Lego is going to go in. He's not yet level 6. He's not yet level 6. He's double flash. Silva is now going to be in trouble. Oh man, Sly Lego. Sly Lego is going to go in. Not yet level 6. He's not yet level 6.